Qing traverses the realm of cultivation and encounters the reincarnated empress at the outset. He awakens a sign-in system that enables him to obtain entries by signing in on various individuals. Sign in for the devouring heavenly Tao body entry, the ability to consume everything to enhance oneself, with the potential for infinite accumulation of the consumed physical origin and innate talents. Sign in for the avatar path entry, the capacity to possess one avatar for each major realm, mirroring the combat prowess of the main body and assisting in its cultivation. Sign in for the omniscient listening entry, the ability to hear the voices of all things in the world, even a blade of grass or a stone. Sign in for the all-seeing eye entry, the capability to view information about all entities, revealing the weaknesses of adversaries. Sign in for the time fishing entry, the ability to fish through the ages, reeling in random artifact from the past and future. Countless years later, Qing sits upon the supreme throne, gazing down upon the myriad heavens, and sighs, "Indeed, invincibility is profoundly lonely." Chapter 3:15. The Descent of the Heavenly Tao. Yun Yin regards Yun Hai, saying, "There is no need for you to recruit powerful allies or train soldiers any further. Simply let everything unfold naturally and return to focus on enhancing your cultivation." Yun Hai's eyes brim with confusion, his mind somewhat dazed. What is the reason for this? Go forth. Although Yun Hai struggles to comprehend, he can only withdraw. He recalls his previous confrontation with Yi Chan. Over the years, he has indeed devoted himself to the affairs of the heavenly court, neglecting his cultivation. As Yun Hai departs, the Lingxiao treasure hall once again falls into a desolate silence, with only Yun Yin sitting alone on the heavenly emperor's throne, devoid of any subordinates, creating an atmosphere of stark solitude. A radiant smile suddenly graces her lips. "I know you have arrived. Come forth." Within the vicinity of the heavenly emperor's throne, time and space begin to stagnate, countless patterns materializing to seal off this place, rendering it impervious to external calculations and inquiries. Qing emerges from behind the heavenly emperor's throne, tossing a purple gold gourd to Yun Yin. "The item you desired is right here." Holding the purple gold gourd, Yun Yin gazes at the primordial purple aura within, her eyes sparkling with delight. "Thank you. This is precisely what I needed. I am aware of a treasure that defies the Tao, concealed within the abyssal purgatory. You may seek it out at your leisure." "What is the name of this treasure?" Qing inquires with curiosity. "The Pool of Laws, imbued with 3,000 principles. Its power is boundless and eternal." Yun Yin replies with a serene smile. Qing nods slightly. Now the 7 treasures that defy heaven have already emerged. The Wheel of Fate, the Tower of Time, the Eye of Causality, the Flower of the Great Tao, the Spear of Emperor Slaying, the Sword of Saint Slaughter, and the final treasure, the Pool of Laws, lies within the abyssal purgatory. During his sojourn in the netherworld, Qing probed that location. It is not particularly vast, making the search relatively uncomplicated. However, he fears it may already be claimed by another. The Yin Yin here is merely an avatar. Qing refrains from further idle conversation and departs from this place directly. As the Tao patterns vanish, time resumes its flow, leaving Yun Yin once again seated in solitude. Yet this time, a smile lingers at the corners of her mouth. She intends to first let the primordial celestial sovereign and the emperor contend for power while she conceals herself in the shadows, aspiring to attain sanctification through the auspices of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao's fortune surrounding her is exceedingly vast, capable even of directly attaining enlightenment. Moreover, this is merely an avatar, and even if enlightenment is achieved, it will not impact her true form. Rather, it would channel greater power to its essence. This was the true purpose behind her request to Qing for the primordial purple energy. Yun Yin concealed herself within the Lingxiao treasure hall and commenced the earnest refinement of the primordial purple energy. In the void, Qing was soaring towards the direction of the underworld. Suddenly, a tremendous tremor occurred. Glancing towards that direction, he beheld the dark sovereign encountering divine retribution, transforming into its true form, exuding an overwhelming aura of black mist. Heavenly Tao, had I known this would come to pass, I would never have sought to attain enlightenment through the fortunes of the heavenly Tao. I am filled with hatred. At this moment, The Dark Sovereign appeared wretched, adorned with grievous scars, its sanctified status long since stripped away by the heavenly Tao, its aura sinking into frailty. As endless bolts of divine punishment descended, the Dark Sovereign let out a furious roar, ultimately disintegrating into ashes. Qing bore witness to the entire spectacle, lamenting the mercilessness of the heavenly Tao, which seemed to extinguish the Dark Sovereign without a trace of hesitation. Gazing at the myriad of dissipating rays of divine retribution, Qing was suddenly struck with astonishment, for a system panel materialized before him. Heavenly Tao Sovereign. Mid-stage of the Heavenly Tao realm, its form transformed into a mythic grand world, standing as the supreme creator deity, its power ranking among the pinnacle within the chaos. Having exhausted its strength in the prior world creation, it was thus humiliated by the Azure Emperor and the Chaos Beast Emperor, but now it had fully restored its peak prowess. Qing summoned all his strength, intending to flee at a remarkable speed, yet it was evidently too late. A terrifying beam of light approached him, imbued with colossal power that even a saint could not withstand. You too are an anomaly. Perish alongside the Dark Sovereign. Misty Vessel. A colossal ship erupted from Qing's brow, shattering the firmament and obliterating the void, yet it still failed to obstruct that beam of light. The beam consecutively pierced through the misty vessel and the primordial battle armor, before directly erupting a massive wound in Qing's chest. Qing's body was visibly recuperating at an astonishing rate. In mere moments, he was restored to his former state. So, the heavenly Tao possesses consciousness. I previously thought it was merely a manifestation of rules and order. The act of world creation is one of the paths to enlightenment. However, I achieved the heavenly Tao directly through a unique method, transcending the saintly realm. The voice of the heavenly Tao reverberated, its mere sound causing the entire void to tremble, its momentum reaching an apex of terror. Qing's form was disintegrating, yet a semblance of confusion lingered in his eyes. Then why did you actively allow the mythic grand world to transform into the myriad realms? With each destruction and rebirth, the world evolves and transforms, and my strength also grows. Qing nodded slightly, his demeanor remaining composed, as if unperturbed by death. As his body and primordial spirit were utterly extinguished, the luminous sphere emanating from the heavenly Tao quietly hovered, seemingly sensing Qing's essence, yet failing to locate it. He has evaded my probing multiple times. He must possess a supreme treasure. However, once he appears within the mythic grand world, I shall be able to detect him. It is time to investigate the underworld. The mythic grand world devoid of reincarnation is incomplete. The heavenly Tao vanished into the darkness. At this moment, within the inner world, Qing gazed upon the saint tree of time and space, his eyes filled with complexity. I never anticipated the heavenly Tao would personally intervene with such formidable strength. Its mere voice was sufficient to obliterate my avatar. Presently, his physical prowess was immensely powerful, having reached the saintly realm, yet it was so effortlessly destroyed by the heavenly Tao. Nonetheless, in a certain sense, the heavenly Tao had regarded him as a threat. Otherwise, it would not have deigned to intervene personally. Qing sensed his current state. He remained at the early stage of a saint with the pinnacle of Tai. Even if he retracted the mythic projection, he would at most reach the peak of a saint, far from being a match for the heavenly Tao. Ultimately, he sighed deeply. It seems I must bide my time and cultivate. Once my true form reaches the pinnacle of quasi-saint, I will be able to reclaim the mythic projection, securing a chance to ascend to the realm of the heavenly Tao, at which point I may stand a chance against it. A system panel appeared before him, and Qing's eyes suddenly ignited with brilliance. He had just successfully signed in with the heavenly Tao. Chapter 316. Absolute Defense. Sign-in successful. Acquired the black attribute. Absolute Defense. Absolute Defense. Can nullify all damage for half an hour and can also be conferred upon others. It cannot be reused within a short time. Gazing at the rewards of his sign-in, Qing's lips curled into a smile. It was evident that this black attribute was deserving of its classification, for its effects were utterly terrifying. With his current cultivation level, he could unleash billions of punches in a second, capable of shattering the mythological world in merely half an hour. The heavenly Tao relied on the mythological world. If he were to annihilate it directly, the power of the Tao would also dissipate. Thus, he resolved to treat this as a means of survival. In a realm filled with acquaintances, he was reluctant to bring about annihilation unless absolutely necessary. Su Qing sighed deeply. Pondering the fate of the beings within this world should it meet destruction, he could only consider this as a last resort. Observing the leaves of the time-space sacred tree, he noted that in the depths of the netherworld, the heavenly Tao had descended, confronting the Empress of Earth. Clad in a gray robe, the Empress stood resolutely within the depths of the 6 paths of reincarnation, her gaze fixed intently on the heavenly Tao, her expression grave. If you voluntarily withdraw from the cycle of reincarnation, I may spare your life. The voice resonated throughout the cycle, imbued with an aura of divine authority. The power contained within the voice was so formidable that it caused blood to trickle from the corner of the Empress's mouth. Though the realm of the heavenly Tao was merely 1 tier above that of the saint realm, the disparity in strength was astronomically vast. Even saints appeared diminutive in comparison to the heavenly Tao. The Empress remained steadfast, having long since abandoned the fortunes of reincarnation to complete her reformation. Now, having attained enlightenment through the laws, she intended to forge a new world, seeking to challenge the heavenly Tao with dual paths of law and world. However, she was loath to relinquish the 6 paths of reincarnation and the netherworld, which she had painstakingly nurtured for millions of years. Calmly, she remarked, "Are you not afraid that I shall shatter the cycle, leaving your world incomplete?" The heavenly Tao pondered, suspended in midair, ultimately seeming to relent. "You may take the netherworld and all your subordinates, but the cycle must remain." Yet, the Empress feared the overwhelming might of the heavenly Tao. After all, it would be effortless for the Tao to end her existence. With a flick of her sleeve, she withdrew the netherworld, vanishing into the chaos. The heavenly Tao lingered within the cycle, a flash of red light darting forth in pursuit of the Empress. Born from the mythological world, the heavenly Tao could seize her life at any moment. Even attaining enlightenment would not alter her fate unless she reached the level of the heavenly Tao. Subsequently, the 6 paths of reincarnation merged with the mythological world, transforming the realm anew, allowing for the accommodation of more saints, while augmenting the power of the heavenly Tao. Once more, several strands of primordial purple energy dispersed, promising that whoever could seize them would gain the fortune of the heavenly Tao and attain enlightenment. Deep within the chaos, the Empress flew at great speed, the ominous red light trailing her like a shadow, seemingly inescapable. The red light was exceedingly sinister, exuding a lethal threat. Any contact would result in instant demise. At that moment, the netherworld began to dissolve under the red light, countless vengeful spirits wailing in despair. The Empress was filled with dread, yet felt utterly powerless. At that juncture, the mythological projection of the Azure Emperor arrived, stepping forth amidst the chaotic light. The white patterns on his black robe shone resplendently against the dark chaos, his silver hair resembling a river of stars, and his purple-golden eyes were profound, akin to an abyss. The chaos sacred sword hovered beside him, enveloped in a terrifying sword aura that made the chaos tremble, sending ripples through the surroundings. With astonishing speed, he traversed the space, arriving directly behind the Empress, unique ripples manifesting around him as he activated absolute defense, effectively blocking the eerie red light. For all beings within the mythological world, their destinies lay firmly within the grasp of the heavenly Tao. Even achieving enlightenment could not liberate them, as life and death rested solely within the Tao's whims. The Empress's gaze dulled, seemingly resigned to her fate, unwilling to resist further. She entrusted the netherworld to Su Qing, saying, "I leave it in your hands, I beg of you." Listening to the Empress's words, Su Qing's eyes glimmered with contemplation. So it was. It appeared his choice was indeed correct, his true form concealed within his inner world, while his avatar roamed externally until he amassed sufficient power to completely extricate himself from the currents of fate. The day when he could emerge was not far off. Why not attempt to forge a world now? After all, death is inevitable regardless. Su Qing suggested with a faint smile. The Empress's previously dim eyes suddenly sparkled with renewed brilliance as she centered her efforts around the netherworld, using the laws as her foundation to carve out a world amidst the chaos. Su Qing observed her endeavor to create a new realm, standing vigilantly beside her. While the ominous red light was gradually consumed by his innate ability of devouring the heavenly Tao body, before absolute defense dissipated, it would be completely devoured, becoming a part of his own strength. The devouring heavenly Tao body, now possessing talents surpassing the primordial demon gods, was specifically designed to counter all forms of power, capable of consuming destinies and the might of the heavenly Tao alike. The commotion from the Empress's world forging attracted the attention of numerous dark beings lurking nearby. However, the chaos sacred sword soared forth, with a single strike, it annihilated countless dark entities. Only one dark saint remained, severely wounded, yet still alive, emerging from the shadows. Its true form was a terrifying tree, branches swirling like wild hair, bearing fruit resembling skulls. The red glimmer in the skull's eyes casting the entire chaos into a peculiar realm of illusion. Su Qing conjured dozens of avatars beside him, each capable of devouring the red light pursuing them. Each avatar possessed strength equal to his true form at the mid-stage of the saint realm. Yet their aura far exceeded that of mid-tier saints, rivaling even the peak of the saint realm. This left the dark saint astounded, bewildered by the sheer terror of this pathway, rendering it utterly incapable of retaliation. It hastily retreated into the darkness. Still trying to flee? Those fruits you bear look quite intriguing. I shall take them to study, Su Qing said, a peculiar smile gracing his lips. Chapter 3:17. The dominance of the chaos demon ape. Countless golden threads erupted from his fingertips, showcasing the terrifying effect of another black attribute. Thoughts could wield boundless power, transforming into sacred swords to slay foes, or into threads to ensnare enemies. The entirety of the chaos was ensnared by golden threads, resembling a colossal golden sphere that encapsulated the dark saint. As the golden sphere rapidly shrank, Su Qing sealed it away, intending to study it later. For now, his priority was to protect the empress. In the distant chaos, the empress was engaged in the act of creating her world. With the previous red light consumed by Su Qing, she was unburdened by concerns. A small world gradually manifested, contrasting sharply with the netherworld, the yin and yang intertwined, exuding profound mystery even amidst the chaos. The empress successfully forged a world, yet due to insufficient preparation, she did not fully break through. Although her strength far surpassed her former self, reaching half a step into the realm of the heavenly Tao. Yet, this half-step was fraught with challenges. It was possible that she might never break through in her lifetime. The empress retracted her aura and approached Su Qing, each step graceful and poised. Thank you for saving my life. It seems I owe you quite a debt of karma. I seek a certain item, located within the inferno of no return. Su Qing replied with a calm smile. Are you referring to the treasure, the pool of law? Unfortunately, it already has an owner, the empress responded with a gentle smile, lightly flicking her sleeve. The scene of the inferno of no return materialized within the chaos, under a blood-red sky and amidst desolate lands. Xiao Yoli was seated within the pool of law, cultivating, her eyes radiating a peculiar brilliance, her aura surging as both the reversal spear and the desolation warhammer underwent transformation. Su Qing observed the scene within the inferno of no return, slightly taken aback. He had not anticipated that the final piece of the 7 treasures of heaven would fall into Xiao Yoli's possession. Given the circumstances, it would be bothersome for her to continue her training under your guidance. No matter, I shall venture into the depths of chaos to seek a method to achieve a breakthrough. Should you have any matters at hand, feel free to summon me at any time. The Earth Emperor left behind a mark before vanishing into the dark abyss of chaos. Su Qing stood alone within the chaos, carefully stowing away the Earth Emperor's mark. In his hand, the previously sealed dark sage emerged, before being usurped by the dark beings. It must have been an unparalleled divine herb. If consumed, it might very well elevate him to the late sage stage. Yet, first, he needed to eradicate the dark beings, whose innate talent was possession, and their reputation within the chaos was notoriously poor. However, with his physique having undergone multiple transformations, the talent of the Devour-Heaven Body surpassed that of the Dark Clan by leaps and bounds. Tiny black holes invaded the monstrous trees. As the Dark Clan lacked physical form, resembling mere shadows, the miniature black holes swiftly consumed them. He also acquired fragments of the dark being's memories. As he perused these memories, Su Qing's expression grew grave. The chaotic, vengeful spirits of the Sea of Worlds and the disciples of the World Tao Sovereign were conspiring against the chaotic demon ape. The Dark Clan was merely scavengers, as any body they possessed would be far more formidable than the current divine herb form. Observing the divine herb devoid of the dark beings, its latent power was indeed extraordinary. Consuming it would undoubtedly propel one to the late sage stage. Su Qing resolved to complete his breakthrough before heading deeper into the chaos to assist the chaotic demon ape. A decade later, in the heart of chaos, the area resembled a continent, an amalgamation of countless worlds. At the continent's center floated a ranking list, shimmering with endless brilliance, illuminating the entire land and causing many powerful beings within to gaze in awe. Beneath the list, 3 entities were bound, namely the chaotic beast emperor and his companions. 2 figures stood by, one being the disciple of the World Tao Sovereign, the primordial demon god, and the other the chaotic vengeful spirit. The chaotic vengeful spirit appeared terrifying, resembling a blood-soaked infant, exuding a dreadful aura of resentment. with eyes filled with a grayish hue. In a chilling tone, he stated that these few individuals had drained him dry. Otherwise, how could he have ended up in such a state? He expressed gratitude to his senior brother for intervening on his behalf. The primordial demon god, resembling a noble gentleman, clad in a pristine white robe, reassured him, saying that if all went well, the monkey would undoubtedly show up, urging patience. He warned that if it did not appear within a century, he would execute them beneath the Hongming Golden List first before pursuing the monkey. The chaotic, vengeful spirit, though fearsome in appearance, seemed rather docile beside the primordial demon god. Surrounding them were numerous powerful beings, mostly at the sage level, lying in wait to seize opportunities amidst the chaos. They dared to offend the disciple of the world Tao sovereign, who was among the most formidable entities in chaos, rumored to be on the verge of rivaling the great Tao. Indeed, few possessed the strength to contend with the world Tao sovereign in all of chaos. He ranked 5th on the Hongming Golden List, and if the preceding figures did not appear, he would be invincible. They were quite unfortunate. Their demise seemed imminent. Su Qing, concealed not far away, felt an exhilarating thrill. Encountering so many powerful beings within the mythical grand world was simply unfathomable. His gaze shimmered as he beheld the Hongming Golden List. Hongming Golden List, a chaotic supreme treasure, originally fragments from the shattering of Hongming, later refined by the Tao-level powerhouse. Su Huang, possessing the ability to observe chaos and recording only the names of the mightiest beings. Sign-in successful, awarded with the Tao-level treasure, the Lingdao fruit. Sign-in successful, awarded with the chaotic supreme treasure, the Fate battle armor. Sign-in successful, awarded with the black-worded forbidden tree. As he gazed at the series of notifications on the system panel, Su Qing could hardly contain his excitement. Observing yet another black-worded item, he began to investigate its effects. Forbidden tree, a black-worded item, manifests as a tree, can be sown onto any powerful being to siphon their strength without detection, and can also harm enemies or spy on them. The number of seeds is unlimited. Upon perceiving the effects of the third black-worded item, a glimmer of astonishment crossed Su Qing's eyes. It was truly deserving of being the highest level item in the system. The effects of the 3 items he currently possessed were indeed terrifying. Su Qing scattered the forbidden seeds upon every powerful being present, including the primordial demon god and the chaotic vengeful spirit. Sensing the power being siphoned from them, it instantly transformed into his own strength. Yet he felt a peculiar sensation within. Reflecting inwardly, he mused on how it felt as though he were the hidden antagonist, intent on annihilating chaos itself. At that moment, a brilliant golden light pierced through the dark chaos, revealing the chaotic demon ape clad in golden armor, its red cloak billowing in the wind, exuding an overwhelming aura that instilled fear in the hidden powerful beings surrounding it. The chaotic demon ape regarded the primordial demon god with utter disdain and arrogantly proclaimed, "A mere heaven Tao realm, hardly worthy of my attention. Kneel and apologize, and you may yet live." Chapter 318. Su Qing takes action. The instant the chaotic demon ape materialized, the primordial demon god smirked coldly, uttering brash words, "You shall certainly perish today." In a fleeting moment, the primordial demon god surged into the chaos, unleashing his innate divine ability, the primordial domain, as radiant light coalesced into a spear in his hand, fiercely charging towards the chaotic demon ape. Though the chaotic demon ape had just broken through to the heaven Tao realm, he showed no trepidation towards the primordial demon god's assault, swinging his iron rod. The clash between it and the spear sent tremors throughout the entire chaos. The primordial demon god's expression shifted slightly. He had not anticipated such formidable strength from the chaotic demon ape so soon after his breakthrough. Although he had already attained the heaven Tao realm and reached mid-stage, surpassing the chaotic demon ape by a minor realm, he found himself unable to suppress his opponent. The two terrifying entities clashed fiercely, and the more they fought, the more alarmed the primordial demon god became, for the chaotic demon ape's Tao was overwhelmingly powerful, causing his strength to surge exponentially during the battle. In mere moments, the primordial demon god felt the pressure mounting. The primordial domain, obliterating all. The domain directly engulfed the chaotic demon ape, unleashing countless terrifying chains that flickered with black lightning, seemingly capable of annihilating everything. The fusion of saint and demon. The chaotic demon ape's power surged once more, with the speed of enhancement accelerating. As he swung his iron rod, he shattered numerous chains, violently striking the primordial domain. The primordial demon god radiated crimson brilliance, a mystical red mirror manifesting behind him, which was his innate treasure, now comparable to a chaotic spirit treasure. The crimson light began to bind the chaotic demon ape's movements, yet the chaotic demon ape's iron rod, also his innate treasure, exuded an extreme and terrifying battle intent, easily repelling the crimson light. At this moment, Beneath the Hongmeng Golden List, the chaotic, vengeful spirit's expression turned cold. The chaotic demon ape had initially absorbed his power, which was how he had comprehended the divine ability of the fusion of saint and demon. Damn it, truly damn it. Senior brother, swiftly kill him. The chaotic beast emperor chuckled, lamenting that if his leader had not encountered issues in his cultivation, he would have been even more ferocious than the chaotic demon ape. Silence, or I shall slay you now. The chaotic, vengeful spirit's eyes turned blood red, glaring venomously at the chaotic beast emperor. Blood transformed into blades of light, aiming to directly eliminate the chaotic beast emperor. However, the chaotic beast emperor was completely restrained and unable to move. Otherwise, the chaotic, vengeful spirit would not stand a chance against him. Within the primordial domain, the chaotic demon ape witnessed this scene. His eyes filled with urgency as he ramped up his assaults against the domain. Yet at that moment, he exposed a flaw, allowing the crimson light to pierce through him, creating a gaping wound in his chest, from which golden blood flowed. It seems you share quite a bond. Hold off on killing him for now, as that would only provoke this monkey into a desperate fight. Instead, let us torment him slowly. The primordial demon god instructed the chaotic, vengeful spirit, all the while keeping a watchful eye on the chaotic demon ape, seeking his next opportunity to strike decisively. The chaos wraith's countenance darkened, as the blood blade before him began to dim, striking directly towards the chaos beast emperor. Should the blade connect, the emperor's primordial spirit would be severed, leading not to death but to an irrevocable halt in his path of cultivation, rendering any future breakthroughs impossible. Yet at that moment, a luminous shield enveloped the chaos beast emperor, shattering the blood blade into fragments. Who dares to provoke my master, the world Tao sovereign? The chaos wraith glared menacingly into the surroundings. Just then, from another direction within the chaos, a resplendent violet gold radiance illuminated the darkness, bridging the gap beneath the Hongmeng Golden List. Su Qing strolled forth, declaring, I am the Azure Emperor. Today, I shall protect them. The chaos beast emperor's face lit up with elation, but soon apprehension took hold, for when he had descended into the mythical great world, his master had yet to attain enlightenment. Was he not courting death by coming here? He shouted anxiously, Master, flee quickly. You are no match for them now. Yet Su Qing maintained his composure, continuing to stride forth. With a gentle clap, 80 trillion golden holy swords manifested behind him, their terrifying might causing fissures to appear throughout the chaos. Even the light from the Hongmeng Golden List was dispersed. At that moment, the chaos wraith truly felt fear. He vanished, intending to escape. But it was too late. The forbidden seed within him exploded, and in that instant, the golden holy sword sliced towards him. A single strike was all it took to annihilate the chaos wraith. He transformed into a radiant light, consumed by a black hole, becoming nourishment on Su Qing's path of growth. The chaos beast emperor stood frozen in place, exclaiming, Master, you are truly formidable. The restraints on his body were shattered by the holy swords, and Su Qing quietly observed the distant battlefield. Meanwhile, the chaos demon ape, witnessing this scene, felt a mix of horror and understanding the gravity of the situation, continuing his fierce battle with the primordial demon god. He was no longer anxious, appearing considerably more at ease. The chaos demon ape remained unperturbed, but the primordial demon god grew anxious, as the countless holy swords brought an unprecedented sense of crisis. If the Azure Emperor formed an alliance with the chaos demon ape, he would be in grave danger. In a fit of desperation, he roared, initiating a self-detonation of the primordial domain. As the terrifying explosion reverberated through the chaos, the primordial demon god planned to escape through the spatio-temporal rifts created by the shockwave. The chaos demon ape did not retreat, but pressed on towards the explosion's epicenter. Su Qing pointed in that direction, and all the holy swords followed suit. Just then, a terrifying great world soared towards them, emanating an eerie aura, blocking the pursuit of the 80 trillion holy swords and the chaos demon ape. You young ones should not go too far. Why must you seek to eradicate all? The voice of the world Tao sovereign echoed from within that great world, resonating throughout the chaos. Su Qing seized the chaos beast emperor as a shield, bestowing upon him the earlier absolute defense. He charged towards that great world, unapologetically shouting, Old dang, you didn't show up when that little creature sought to eliminate my second brother, yet now you come to protect him? You truly are a wretched being. Su Qing approached the chaos demon ape, ready to fight side by side. Meanwhile, the 80 trillion holy swords erupted, creating cracks in the eerie great world. The chaos demon ape laughed heartily, filled with exhilaration, declaring, If I can fight the world Tao sovereign, what is death to me? Su Qing patted the head of the chaos demon ape, a glimmer of peculiar light in his eyes. You rascal, you're merely a hair of a monkey. The chaos demon ape chuckled sheepishly. Well, my true form is on its way. it will arrive soon. Chapter 319. Escape. The Chaos Beast Emperor's expression turned grim. Master, while I fear not death, is it not a bit excessive for you to use me as a shield? Su Qing replied. I have cast upon you an unparalleled secret technique. Not even a world Tao sovereign, nor 100 of them, can harm you. However, it cannot be reapplied in a short span. Hearing Su Qing's words, the Chaos Beast Emperor's eyes brightened, and he laughed heartily. Let me protect you. His form instantaneously expanded to an immense size, resembling a vast shield bristling with barbs. At that moment, an iron rod shot forth from the darkness, striking heavily upon the eerie great world. The Chaos Demon Ape, brimming with spirit and battle intent, revealed his true form, while the Chaos Demon Ape that had been beside Su Qing dissipated into a mere hair. The world Tao sovereign bellowed, his sonic waves reverberating throughout the chaos. Aside from the Hongming Golden List and the continent below, everything else was reduced to dust, with many powerful beings perishing without time to escape. Yet the Chaos Beast Emperor remained unscathed, as did Su Qing and the Chaos Demon Ape behind him. The world Tao sovereign's voice was filled with uncertainty. Even if I am but a fragment of divine thought, it suffices to slay those at the pinnacle of the heavenly Tao realm. It appears you have a powerful protector behind you. I shall remember this matter for now. The eerie great world vanished instantaneously from the chaos. And as the Chaos Demon Ape was about to act, Su Qing held him back. This old coot is scheming against us. He has not yet retreated far. Su Qing's eyes sparkled, able to perceive the world Tao sovereign and the primordial demon god hiding nearby, ready to strike with lethal intent at any moment. As he released his divine patterns, the unconscious Extreme Emperor and Void King beneath the Hongming Golden List were consumed by a black hole. The Chaos Demon Ape's eyes revealed a serious expression as he transmitted, At worst, we shall fight. This old coot is truly insidious. The world Tao sovereign is indeed formidable. Let us retreat for now. Su Qing replied with a gentle smile, not transmitting further. He swiftly led the Chaos Beast Emperor away, remaining vigilant against the world Tao sovereign's moves. As expected, an eerie light shot forth from the darkness, forming a great net intended to obstruct Su Qing's path. However, in an instant, Su Qing, along with the Chaos Demon Ape and the Chaos Beast Emperor, scattered as the light illuminated them. This was merely an illusion, not even a true projection. Both Su Qing and the Chaos Demon Ape had meticulously plotted countless escape routes before taking action. Their purpose in coming here had never been to fight, but to rescue. Within that eerie great world, a fragment of the world Tao sovereign's divine thought materialized into a human form, an elder clad in a white robe, exuding an ethereal aura, though his eyes brimmed with malice. Indeed, some means to deceive my perception, he mused. Master, do not let them off easily. My junior brother has been completely slain by the Azure Emperor. The primordial demon god spoke with hatred in his eyes, addressing the world Tao sovereign with reverence. I am currently entangled in a battle with great foes and cannot extricate myself. You should seek your senior brother's help. The world Tao sovereign snorted lightly, seemingly displeased with the primordial demon god, and that fragment of divine thought, along with the entire eerie great world, merged directly into the primordial demon god's body. Gazing into the distance, the primordial demon god vowed, Chaos Demon Ape, Azure Emperor, you shall surely die next time. What did you say? Su Qing appeared behind him unannounced, smiling faintly. Master, save me. The primordial demon god's eyes widened in panic, but it was evidently too late. The 80 trillion golden holy swords descended upon him, and the ethereal vessel carried boundless divine might, combined with Su Qing's avatar, detonated. An unfathomable power erupted. Even if the primordial demon god did not perish, he would be grievously wounded, unable to cause trouble for a considerable time. As the terrifying shockwaves of the explosion dissipated, the smoke revealed a scene soaked in crimson. The primordial demon god gravely injured, on the brink of death. The eerie great world reappeared, and the world Tao sovereign's fragment of divine thought was utterly enraged. He meticulously searched through the chaos, but to no avail. With the gravely wounded primordial demon god in tow, he intended to leave, slipping into the distant darkness. However, the scene within the darkness stunned the world Tao sovereign. 10 Su Qings awaited inside, each wearing an odd smile. 10 manifestations of Su Qing unleashed their most formidable strike, culminating in a self-detonation. In this moment, the vestige of the world Tao sovereign was irrevocably obliterated, though at the very last instant. The primordial demon god was cast into the rift of time and space. Not far away, Su Qing and his companions concealed themselves, with the Chaos Beast Emperor exclaiming in awe, Indeed, our leader surpasses even our adversary in cunning. The Chaos Demon Ape chuckled, remarking, True, but I still prefer a straightforward confrontation. The demise of the world Tao sovereign's consciousness, witnessed by many formidable beings under the Hongmeng Golden List, would undoubtedly herald our renown throughout the chaos. However, this was of little concern, for our infamy would surely send a tremor through the chaos. Su Qing offered a jar of exquisite wine, brewed from the innate spiritual roots of Pan Tao and Huang Zhongli, both aged for millennia. To the Chaos Demon Ape and the Chaos Beast Emperor, they erupted into hearty laughter, indulging in a celebratory drink. This period of being hunted by the primordial demon god has delayed my cultivation, otherwise I would not merely be at the pinnacle of sainthood. Once I transcend to the heavenly Tao realm, I shall avenge today's grievances, grumbled the Chaos Beast Emperor. There will be an opportunity. I have spared his life for you to deal with in due course, Su Qing replied with a serene smile. As they began to heal the wounds of the Extreme Emperor and the Void King, the two soon awakened, astonished by the scene before them. Upon grasping the circumstances, their eyes gleamed with excitement. Su Qing and his companions vanished from this locale, soaring toward the edge of the chaos, intending first to visit the Azure Emperor's Great World before returning to the mythical Great World. At this moment, at the periphery of the mythical Great World, Yi Chun wandered, his eyes filled with desolation. Alas, the heavenly Tao and the celestial court do not permit me to remain. Otherwise, I would truly prefer not to risk leaving this realm. Having only recently reached the pinnacle of the immortal emperor level, he was hardly significant within the mythical Great World, especially amidst the treacherous chaos. For several years, Yi Chun flew in a singular direction, yet darkness enveloped him, yielding no encounters. Suddenly, a violent disturbance erupted ahead. The virtuous celestial sovereign severed all ties to the past, including everything experienced within the mythical Great World, rendering it incapable of influencing his fate any longer. With a gentle wave of his dust whisk, he initiated the creation of a new world. Yi Chun gazed in astonishment at this spectacle. He had previously seen the portrait of the virtuous celestial sovereign within the human emperor's palace and was astonished to encounter him here. Yet, as the flower of the great Tao blossomed behind him, Yi Chun entered a state of sudden enlightenment, his cultivation rapidly surging. As time flowed, the world was birthed, albeit only a tenth the size of the mythical Great World. Nevertheless, the virtuous celestial sovereign's cultivation remained formidable, having reached the mid-stage of sainthood. Observing Yi Chun from a distance, the virtuous celestial sovereign remarked, "It seems we are fated. Will you take me as your master?" Chapter 320. The reappearance of dark beings. Yi Chun's eyes sparkled with joy. This figure was an unparalleled entity within the mythos, his strength now unfathomable. He respectfully bowed, greeting, "I pay my respects to my master." The virtuous celestial sovereign's expression remained impassive as he nodded slightly, saying, "You have found your own path. All I can impart are spells and divine abilities." With a sweep of his sleeve, a beam of light entered Yi Chun's brow. Suddenly, countless ripples erupted in the distance, led by a bewitchingly alluring figure clad in black, exuding an aura of malevolence. "It appears our dark lineage is destined to gain another saint today." Her presence was terrifying, utterly overpowering the virtuous celestial sovereign, who was just beginning to establish his world. She swiftly absorbed both him and the world into the depths of darkness. Yi Chun was also ensnared, and as he beheld the overwhelming darkness, he lamented his misfortune. Having believed that aligning with the virtuous celestial sovereign would grant him safe passage for cultivation, time elapsed, and the surroundings abruptly transformed. He found himself within a damp and dark dungeon, where a sinister black mist permeated the air, giving the impression of watchful eyes lurking within. Yi Chun collapsed within a cell, struggling even to rise, let alone wield any divine powers. The black mist seized the opportunity to invade his body, intent on transforming him into a dark being. As despair enveloped him, a brilliant light erupted from within, a seal devouring the encroaching black mist. A venerable voice, filled with surprise, resonated. "It seems you have encountered significant trouble. Should I intervene?" Yi Chun anxiously exclaimed, "Master, I have brought you harm. Such trivial dark power, be shattered." The ancient voice replied with a slight snort, instantly restoring Yi Chun to his former state. He felt his strength returning. Astonished at the depths of his master's hidden prowess, he had previously believed his cultivation to surpass that of the virtuous celestial sovereign. Unbeknownst to him, the heavenly demon had long been vanquished by Su Qing, and what resided within him was the imprint of the Azure Emperor. "I shall assist you in masquerading as a dark being. This place is treacherous, so exercise caution," the ancient voice advised before falling silent. Yi Chun sensed a peculiar transformation within himself, as his essence was shrouded in a hazy glow, morphing into a different guise. Just as he marveled at this change, a dozen dark beings appeared in the distance, each with distinctive appearances. the leader possessing the cultivation of the pinnacle of quasi-saints. Yi Chen promptly feigned unconsciousness. The nearby dark beings seemed to be in discussion. That old fellow can indeed seize bodies. However, this human immortal emperor lacks even the qualifications to be usurped. It appeared he had been entirely transformed into a dark being, destined to serve as a slave to the Dark Mother. One of the dark beings seized Yi Chen and departed, vanishing from sight. In another cell, the virtuous celestial sovereign exhibited a stark contrast in his eyes. One glowed crimson with a fierce light, while the other was serene and tranquil. Two opposing forces seemed to clash within him. Observing this, the dark beings simultaneously attacked, unleashing a torrent of black mist that surged toward the virtuous celestial sovereign, invading his body. At this moment, within the sea of consciousness of the virtuous celestial sovereign, two terrifying forces engaged in a fierce battle. Though the dark beings lacked physical forms, their innate abilities enabled them to easily usurp any creature. While the virtuous celestial sovereign had yet to be defeated, he still lost half of his corporeal form. Just then, bolstered by the black mist, the dark being appeared more grotesque and twisted, bearing its fearsome maw as its power surged, overwhelming the virtuous celestial sovereign. Nonetheless, the virtuous celestial sovereign maintained his composure. His eyes radiated a sharp, sword-like brilliance as he brought his fingers together and pointed decisively. With his self-created sacred technique, he summoned a sword aura that transformed into a gentle breeze. As the breeze wafted, the dark being began to disintegrate, swiftly dissolving into black vapor. The virtuous celestial sovereign rapidly deduced the nature of the dark being, countless patterns erupting across his form. Ultimately, he refined the black vapor into a dark robe, donning it upon his primordial spirit. In the external realm, the virtuous celestial sovereign's eyes gleamed with a fierce, ominous light, his blood-red pupils appearing eerily strange. With a mere snort, the dark beings outside the celestial prison trembled in fear. "Congratulations, my lord, on your successful usurpation. Our dark lineage has once again produced a saint. Please, follow me. We have prepared a dedicated cave dwelling and countless sacred herbs for your cultivation." The virtuous celestial sovereign nodded slightly, following them outside, intending to infiltrate the dark lineage before seeking an opportunity to escape. Meanwhile, in the Azure Emperor's great world, Su Qing sat in meditation atop the central sacred tree. Observing the current state of the Azure Emperor's great world, flourishing to its zenith, even the quasi-saints numbered in the dozens. Aside from the Saint Qingmu, 3 others from the Qingmu lineage also emerged. A smile graced Su Qing's lips as he marveled at how Yi Chen and the virtuous celestial sovereign had fallen into the clutches of the dark lineage. This is quite fortuitous, as it allows Yi Chen to investigate the circumstances surrounding the Dark Clan. I harbor enmity towards them as well, and it is likely that a great war will erupt in the future, thus it is prudent to prepare in advance. Sensing my own condition, with the dark entry of the Forbidden Tree, I have planted the seeds of taboo within many powerful beings, continuously siphoning their strength. Coupled with the devouring of the chaos grievance spirits and the chaos soul fruit, I have now transcended the pinnacle of sainthood. Regrettably, the world Tao sovereign is merely a wisp of divine thought. Otherwise, I would undoubtedly be able to extract valuable treasures from him. Su Qing rose to his feet, gazing down upon the vast expanse of the Qing Emperor's great world. At that moment, a verdant radiance cascaded from the heavens, revealing the figure of Qingmu, clad in emerald robes, exuding an unimaginable aura of life. Qingmu, now at the pinnacle of sainthood, remained exceedingly respectful towards Su Qing, despite being of the same realm. "Father God, when this realm first birthed a faint spark of sentience, I consumed it, and subsequently became its sovereign. However, I bear no ill will towards you. Should you wish to reclaim this world, I am willing to sever my own cultivation to return it to you." Su Qing gently shook his head. "This world has always belonged to you. It is centered around the Chaos Pure Land, which I integrated into the fragmented worlds of the Sea of Worlds. The Chaos Pure Land is the embodiment of a powerful being who specializes in the path of creation, and you are the ancestor tree born from the Chaos Pure Land. In my pursuit of the treasures left behind by that being, I created the Qingmu clan." Qingmu bowed deeply. "Regardless of the circumstances, it was you, Father God, who gave me life." Suddenly, the Qing Emperor's great world began to tremble. Qingmu's expression shifted dramatically. "This is bad. The dark beings have found us again." Chapter 321. Infiltrating the Dark Clan. Su Qing furrowed his brow, perplexed by the situation. Over the past several million years, the Dark Clan has expanded rapidly, occupying vast stretches of chaotic territory and invading this place numerous times, though they were repelled by the Chaos Demon Ape. However, since his departure, I have been leading the Qing Emperor's great world in a constant state of evasion, and I never anticipated we would still be discovered. Qing Mu explained. Su Qing nodded slightly. There is no need for concern. The chaos demon ape is now more terrifying than ever before. He has already departed. Outside the Qing Emperor's great world, countless dark beings encircled it, their presence formidable. Three-peaked saint beings of the Dark Clan had arrived, intent on seizing this vast realm in one fell swoop. Among them was the Dark Mother, who had previously abducted the Virtue Sovereign. This world has grown to such an extent, harboring several saint-level presences, including one at the pinnacle of sainthood. It seems we have indeed come at the right time. Should we also convert them into dark beings, the strength of the Dark Clan will rise yet again. I discovered this world many years ago, but my last attempt was thwarted. They activated their divine powers, casting a black net that enveloped the entire Qing Emperor's great world, leaving no chance for the beings within to escape. Yet, at the moment the net appeared, two resplendent golden beams erupted, instantly dissolving the black net. The chaos demon ape stepped through the void, arriving outside the Qing Emperor's great world. The previous two beams of light were merely the result of his eyelids opening and closing. Ah, it is you again. Regrettably, I find myself somewhat disappointed this time. The chaos demon ape's gaze was indifferent, devoid of any battle intent, for these beings were unworthy of his attention. With a swing of his iron rod, countless dark beings perished. The three-peaked saints at the forefront retreated in haste, their faces etched with terror. How is it possible? You cannot be at the Tao of Heaven level. What world have you opened? One of the three-peaked saints fell, while the other two ignited their essence to flee. This was merely a demonstration of the chaos demon ape's might, and he had not even exerted himself seriously. Bewildered, he mused, what world? I encountered terrifying entities within the chaos forbidden land, and amidst the battle, I broke through. At the center of the Qing Emperor's great world, atop the great tree, Qing Mu wore an expression of astonishment. The chaos demon ape's power was indeed growing ever more formidable, and he could scarcely fathom the means by which he cultivated. Su Qing, meanwhile, was scrutinizing the system panel. The three-peaked saints of the dark beings had yielded valuable rewards. Sign-in successful, obtained the saint-level supreme treasure, Xianxiaaudiobooks. Sign-in successful, obtained the saint-level supreme treasure, Tiandi Rong Lu. Sign-in successful, obtained the chaos spiritual root, 9-colored creation lotus. Gazing at the system panel, a smile crept onto Su Qing's lips. He promptly tossed the Xianxiaaudiobooks to Qing Mu, saying, you lack a supreme treasure for protection. Consider this a reward. Qing Mu respectfully accepted the Xianxiaaudiobooks, expressing his gratitude profusely. Just then, the chaos demon ape approached, his expression grave, indicating that we must depart swiftly. There are formidable presences within the Dark Clan. Su Qing inquired curiously, what, even you consider them a challenge? What if we join forces? The chaos demon ape shook his head slightly. Years ago, I delved deep into the Dark Clan and encountered a terrifying being that seemed to be in slumber. Even its breathing nearly left me gravely injured. I suspect that being is certainly not weaker than the world Tao Sovereign, and it may have awakened now. Very well. Let us retreat. Su Qing instructed Qing Mu to retract the great world into his body. Contemplating deeply, he realized that such an existence could probe half of the chaos with a mere thought, leaving them nowhere to hide. However, he devised a brilliant idea. What if we disguise your essence as dark beings and infiltrate the Dark Clan? Qing Mu's eyes filled with apprehension. Isn't that too risky? Indeed. I believe it is an excellent idea. When I infiltrated the Dark Clan, I became quite familiar with their divisions, and having been adversaries for years, I know them well. The chaos demon ape nodded in agreement, then turned to Su Qing with a question. But what if they discover the disguise? Are you certain in your ability? Of course. Su Qing replied confidently, as several seals appeared with a wave of his sleeve, capable of mimicking any essence. The seals were black, seemingly capable of devouring all. Unlike the purple-gold Qing Emperor seal, the seals merged into the bodies of the chaos demon ape and Qing Mu, fundamentally altering their essence, as well as their appearances. At that moment, 3 silhouettes emerged from within Qing Mu. They were the Chaos Beast Emperor, Extreme Emperor, and Void King. Now at the pinnacle of sainthood, they had completely healed from their injuries, and, although their combat power was not on par with the Chaos Demon Ape, they were still formidable. Such an intriguing affair. How could I possibly be left out? The Chaos Beast Emperor chuckled. The Extreme Emperor and Void King nodded in agreement with his words. Su Qing smiled as 3 seals entered their bodies. They then prepared to infiltrate the Dark Clan. Within the opulent halls of the Dark Clan, Yi Chun toiled laboriously, his expression one of dismay. Just then, the Dark Mother staggered back from the outside, her aura faint and weakened. Though she bore injuries and her complexion was pale, a unique beauty radiated from her. With a single breath, the Dark Mother absorbed the dark beings in the hall, transforming them into black mist. Yi Chun was utterly dumbfounded. He was merely disguised as a dark being and was not one at his core. Now, he stood alone, drawing attention. The Dark Mother, somewhat taken aback, inquired, "Who are you, daring to infiltrate my domain?" Yi Chun's back was drenched in cold sweat as he stammered, "I am a slave captured by your kind, and have yet to be transformed into a dark being. You are quite remarkable, follow me." The eyes of the Dark Holy Mother shimmered with a vibrant light as she led Yi Chun into the hidden chamber. At this moment, the black mark within Yi Chun's body quivered slightly, and Su Qing, witnessing this scene, felt an uncanny sense of déjà vu. How is it that this fellow experiences growth in such a manner every time? The first instance was with the Harmony sect, the second with the Phantom Demon Lord. And now this is the third. Could this be the fabled innate holy body of soft rice? In another location, a gathering of dark saints observed two figures, their eyes filled with astonishment and trepidation. How could it be possible for them to be here? Chapter 322. The Human Emperor and the Heavenly Sovereign. The two figures were none other than the first Human Emperor and the Heavenly Sovereign. Both were at the pinnacle of sainthood, yet their auras were markedly different, exuding a violent energy, as if they had completely transformed into beings of darkness. Suddenly, a terrifying aura descended, and a detached voice emanated from the Dark Throne. "This chaotic wasteland conceals many great worlds. To herald the awakening of our Master, you are to annihilate these worlds and bring back all living beings. When our Master awakens, only dark beings shall inhabit the entire chaos." All the Dark Saints nodded in agreement and departed without further discourse. Upon the Dark Throne, a figure shrouded in black mist revealed blood-red eyes. The Chaos Demon Ape had reappeared, still at the Tao realm. It seems I must personally confront him. At this moment, within the chaos, the virtuous Heavenly Sovereign had come to understand his current position. He was at the edge of chaos, referred to as the Wasteland. The mythical Great World also resided within this region. He stealthily followed the Human Emperor, doubting that the Emperor would succumb so easily to the darkness. The trials faced by the human race in the past had been monumental. The Human Emperor had led them through bloodshed to rise triumphantly, with an unwavering will, especially now. The Human Emperor did not actively seek out the great worlds. He merely wandered aimlessly within the chaos. It was only when he arrived at a location far from the Dark Clan that he spoke softly, "Come forth." The virtuous Heavenly Sovereign eyed the Human Emperor warily. Although he trusted the Emperor, the terror of the Dark Clan could easily leave behind traps. "You were also captured by the Dark Clan. I believe you have not been possessed," the Human Emperor remarked with a faint smile. "Indeed, I employed my self-created sacred technique to slay that dark being." "Have you been in the Dark Clan all these years?" The virtuous Heavenly Sovereign sighed in relief, realizing that the Human Emperor was still the same. The Human Emperor's gaze was profound. "We have both been tainted by the aura of darkness. Even if we have not transformed into dark beings, we will be shunned by other powerful entities within the chaos. If we return to the mythical Great World, we will be further rejected and plotted against by the Tao. It is better to linger within the Dark Clan." "I see," the virtuous Heavenly Sovereign mused. "I will consider a way to perhaps dispel this dark aura." Dispelling the dark aura would lead to being hunted. There are many hidden powerhouses within the Dark Clan. With our current strength, we would surely perish. Now we can only await the opportune moment. The Human Emperor sighed and continued to feign a patrol of the chaotic wasteland alongside the virtuous Heavenly Sovereign. Within the Dark Clan, Su Qing had currently disguised himself as a peak quasi-saint dark being, surveying the surroundings. However, this was merely a projection. His true self was refining the nine-colored creation lotus. If he could successfully refine this chaotic spiritual root, he was confident of achieving half a step into the Tao realm. Yet, to genuinely break through to the Tao realm seemed nearly impossible without creating a world. Currently, in a state of mythical projection, he could only wait for his true self to ascend to sainthood, allowing the world within him to undergo transformation, thereby enabling a breakthrough into the Tao realm. The Chaos Demon Ape and others were seemingly plotting something significant within the Dark Clan. Although this place appeared mediocre, there were still numerous treasures, which he had overlooked in his previous battles. The Chaos Beast Sovereign smiled. "No worries. I have noted the locations of those hidden treasures. I shall seize them sooner or later. For now, let us return to our cultivation. Our strength still requires enhancement." Time flowed swiftly, and centuries passed. The chaotic wasteland had been completely occupied by dark beings, with only a few deeply hidden great worlds remaining undiscovered. At this moment, within the mythical Great World, the reincarnation Immortal Emperor had undergone 2 more cycles of reincarnation, and his talents now rivaled those of the innate demon god. Upon his birth, he was taken as a disciple by the Emperor and was greatly valued within the heavenly court. The Lady of the Other Shore stood atop a peak, her red dress billowing in the wind as she gazed into the vast heavens. a bittersweet smile gracing her lips. The heavenly court had become exceedingly terrifying. She dared not infiltrate it. May you be well, she thought, but I shall no longer be able to safeguard your path. At that moment, a squad of celestial soldiers patrolled the realm, and the leading silver-armored celestial general's eyes lit up upon seeing the lady of the other shore. You, flower demon, possess commendable cultivation. I shall take you as my spiritual pet, he arrogantly declared. Despite being merely at the peak of the immortal Qing realm, while she had already achieved the Tai realm, his words were devoid of courtesy. And the other celestial soldiers remained silent, aware of his esteemed lineage and the formidable protector backing him. The lady of the other shore completely ignored him, radiant red light emanating from her as she prepared to depart. Seize her, the silver-armored general commanded, revealing his true identity as a youth of the celestial clan. With extraordinary dual-colored eyes. With his command, the surrounding space shattered, and an elderly man in gray robes stepped through, brandishing a small gourd that directly confined the void, leaving the lady of the other shore with no means to evade. The elder uttered a soft command, capture. The sea of consciousness at the lady of the other shore's brow erupted with azure light as the supreme treasure, the North Sea Immortal Palace, materialized, directly countering the gourd's power. The celestial clan youth's eyes brightened upon seeing the North Sea Immortal Palace. A supreme treasure. It seems this acquisition is quite fruitful. From his sea of consciousness, a celestial sword, also a supreme treasure, flew forth, landing in the gray-robed elder's hands. First, confine her along with this treasure, and then we shall bring her back to the celestial clan, he instructed. The lady of the other shore's expression shifted dramatically. She was merely at the initial stage of Tai and struggled to wield the supreme treasure. The gray-robed elder was presumably at the Great Luo realm, and she thought, this could spell trouble. With the celestial sword in hand, the gray-robed elder's methods grew even more formidable. The sword's radiance transforming into a cage that ensnared the North Sea Immortal Palace. We can return now, young master. Good. You should know what to do upon your return. Else, you shall face the consequences. The celestial clan youth's gaze swept over the celestial soldiers, emanating a chilling light. All the soldiers nodded in unison before withdrawing. Let us depart. Have the elder refine this treasure. Our celestial clan has acquired another supreme treasure. Perhaps the elder will commend me. The gray-robed elder opened a spatial passage, with the celestial clan youth entering first. Following him, the gray-robed elder, along with the cage, vanished from sight. At this moment, within the heavenly court, in a grand hall, the reincarnation immortal emperor was diligently cultivating. Having experienced several lifetimes of cultivation and the accumulation of talent, he had now reached the pinnacle of Tai, with formidable combat prowess, capable of challenging even those at the Great Luo level. Suddenly, an intense pain gripped his heart, leaving him dazed and bewildered as he surveyed his surroundings. What is happening? Why do I suddenly feel such heartache? Chapter 323. The Tao scheme. At that moment, a figure clad in a red dress emerged in the reincarnation immortal emperor's mind, evoking feelings both familiar and foreign. In an instant, the memories of several lifetimes surged forth, and he was overcome with a splitting headache. In an instant, she comprehended everything. Her gaze deepened with concern. Could it be that she was in peril? It seemed I must seek assistance. The reincarnation immortal emperor departed from the palace and ventured to a secluded area of the heavenly court. Within resided a formidable adept, well-versed in the art of divination, whom the reincarnation immortal emperor intended to consult for guidance. Just as he was about to rush in, the courtyard gate opened of its own accord. An elder clad in the robes of Yin Yang and Taiji slowly emerged, his hair and beard white as snow. It was the legendary divine mechanic from the mythic era, who had astonishingly survived to this day. The divine mechanic regarded the reincarnation immortal emperor, stating, I am already aware of your purpose. The being you seek, a member of the human celestial clan, is in grave danger, arrived too late, and her fate will be dire. With no time to spare for further words, the reincarnation immortal emperor vanished from the spot. Outside the human celestial clan, he bore the celestial coffin on his back and wielded the reincarnation holy sword. His aura was terrifyingly potent, shattering the gates of the clan with ease. Having regained his memories, he understood that the emperor's acceptance of him as a disciple was a calculated move, and he would not intervene. The clan housed many powerful beings, instilling a sense of uncertainty within him, while death held no fear for him, should anything happen to the one he cherished. The tranquility of his future lives would be forever disrupted. Years ago, his master had left curses upon the human celestial clan, the immortal clan, and the divine clan. If he activated his master's seal and shouted human clan traitor at them, the curses would unleash, diminishing their powers by 70%. At that moment, the Qing emperor's mark within the reincarnation immortal emperor stirred, causing his eyes to blaze with fierce determination. Previously apprehensive, he now felt emboldened. The celestial coffin behind him radiated an ominous red glow, as if it sought to bury everything in its path. With a swing of the reincarnation holy sword, the formation protecting the human celestial clan began to tremble violently. "Surrender her, or I shall annihilate your clan today," a voice from within the clan retorted coldly, exuding an overwhelming pressure toward the reincarnation immortal emperor. Just then, he bellowed, "Human clan traitor." His voice thundered, resonating for miles. Instantly, turmoil erupted within the clan. "What is happening? My cultivation has been reduced by more than half. Moreover, my body is exhibiting strange symptoms. What shall I do?" Even the voice that had chastised the reincarnation immortal emperor vanished, plunging the clan into chaos. With no one guarding the formation, the reincarnation immortal emperor unleashed a series of strikes with the reincarnation holy sword, swiftly dismantling the protective array of the clan. He pressed on, guided by the aura of his beloved. Observing the anguished cries of the human celestial clan, he curiously seized one, probing into their inner being. His pupils constricted. They had all become bodies without leaks, their appearances undergoing peculiar transformations. At their level, sustenance was no longer necessary. Yet this condition within the human celestial clan was a transformation occurring from within. They could not awaken their innate gifts or cultivate the techniques of the human clan, effectively becoming a new race. What was more alarming was that they could not reproduce nor enter the cycle of reincarnation. Should the human celestial clan perish, it would mean the end of their lineage. Taking advantage of the chaos, the reincarnation immortal emperor infiltrated deep into the human celestial clan, locating the imprisoned figure of his beloved in a grand hall. Upon seeing her, his fury ignited. At that moment, she was bound by intricately patterned chains, while the outer North Sea immortal palace was riddled with cracks. Her crimson gown appeared even more vibrant, soaked through with blood. He swiftly executed the youth and elder who were wailing on the ground with a single stroke of his sword, then shattered the cage and chains. Kneeling before her, with eyes full of remorse, "I have arrived too late." The beloved gazed at him with tearful eyes. Resembling a flower on the brink of wilting in the wind, her breath growing faint. The North Sea immortal palace crumbled completely, transforming into myriad shards of ice, shimmering resplendently. "To see you once more, I would have no regrets in death." What foolish words! How could I bear to let you perish? We must share the days to come together. Gently, he cradled her and placed her within the celestial coffin, preserving her last flicker of life. He knelt, fervently praying, "Master, I know you can see this. I implore you to save her. This ordeal is my burden. The heavenly path seems intent on orchestrating matters related to me, likely anticipating my true form and seeking to compel me into the open." Qing spoke solemnly. Suddenly, a surge of vital energy from the myriad pathways erupted from within the celestial coffin, yet it did not disperse, instead merging with the form of his beloved. Qing had left marks on every familiar soul, ensuring their true spirits remained undying, while bestowing them with abundant vital energy. In just a few short years, she would return to her former self, perhaps even surpass her previous cultivation. The reincarnation immortal emperor bowed deeply, expressing his gratitude. "Thank you, Master. Your kindness I shall never forget. I can only save her, but cannot reveal myself. The trials ahead will be yours, for having destroyed the human celestial clan. You will likely face relentless pursuit." Qing's voice faded into silence thereafter. A smile crept onto the reincarnation immortal emperor's lips. He had long since prepared himself. Casting his gaze upon the entirety of the human celestial clan, a glint of coldness appeared in his eyes. "Since I am here, I must stir the waters." The reincarnation holy sword in his grasp burst forth with boundless radiance, enveloping the entire human celestial clan. The clan transformed into a hellish landscape, rivers of blood flowing freely, with only a few ancient figures of the great Luo realm managing to escape. The reincarnation immortal emperor seized the treasures and medicinal gardens of the human celestial clan, then vanished into the cycle of reincarnation, leaving no trace behind. At the moment of his disappearance, the emperor appeared above the human celestial clan, clad in golden imperial robes, his eyes devoid of emotion. It seems Qing has intervened, but where exactly is he hiding? Any existence that poses a threat to the heavenly path, no matter how small, must be eradicated. The emperor soared towards the direction of the eastern sea and Plunglai. Chapter 324. The 10 Dark Thrones at the edge of the mythic world. The reincarnation immortal emperor stumbled from the dark tunnel. Just as he had entered the cycle of reincarnation, he was assailed by the terrifying forces within. Had it not been for the reincarnation holy sword, a sacred artifact, and a modicum of reincarnation fortune, he would undoubtedly have perished. Unbeknownst to the reincarnation immortal emperor, the 6 paths of reincarnation had acquired a new master. Having transitioned from the Earth Mother Emperor to the heavenly path, severely injured, he could barely maintain his footing, his consciousness beginning to blur. At that moment, a towering figure appeared before him, supporting the reincarnation immortal emperor. Greetings. I am Xiao, a man destined to become the human emperor. Would you be interested in joining me to forge a better world? The reincarnation immortal emperor scarcely grasped his words before succumbing to unconsciousness. Had he not voiced his agreement? Silence implied consent. Thus, we are now in this together. Xiao smiled, hoisting the reincarnation immortal emperor and departing. In another part of the mythic world, the primordial heavenly sovereign, now transformed into an elderly human clad in simple garb and carrying a medicinal basket, searched the depths of the mountains for something. Dark energies were manifesting in this region. Could the dark sovereign still be alive, or had other dark beings infiltrated here? The primordial heavenly sovereign pursued the source of the dark aura, his eyes sparkling with insight. Standing still for a long moment before realizing the dark energy emanated from beneath the ground, he directly descended into the depths below, where darkness reigned supreme. Devoid of even the faintest glimmer of light, the essence of the dark sovereign now concealed itself within this abyss. Having long anticipated that the heavenly Tao would turn its blade upon him, thus, he had previously laid plans for resurrection within the demon realm. Gazing at the primordial celestial master standing afar, he was instantly filled with astonishment and incredulity, exclaiming, "How is this possible? How could you possibly find your way here?" Under the heavenly Tao, the forces of darkness could not escape detection. Yet, it was unexpected that you had retained such a trump card, the primordial celestial master replied coldly. His eyes erupted with beams of light, intending to utterly annihilate the dark sovereign. With a deafening roar, the dark sovereign declared, "Even if I must perish, I shall not allow you to prevail. Let this world accompany me in my demise." In an instant, he ignited his essence, transforming into a brilliant imprint that surged forth from the mythical great world, casting its radiance across the entirety of chaos. The primordial celestial master maintained an impassive demeanor, entirely oblivious to the gravity of the situation, and scoffed. What can this light possibly do to obliterate the mythical great world? At that moment, he received a communication from the heavenly Tao, and his expression drastically shifted. What? The Dark Clan is truly this formidable? Beyond the Eastern Sea, outside the Isle of Penglai, the emperor stood suspended in the air, contemplating the annihilation of the forces upon the island to compel Qing to reveal himself. Just then, a crimson light pierced through the heavens, as Yun Yan, clad in a resplendent crimson imperial robe, stood defiantly before the emperor, exuding an aura that seemed to freeze time itself, utterly terrifying. The emperor's countenance grew grave. "You have actually attained enlightenment. How could it have happened so swiftly? This place is the sect of my origin. Should you dare to act, I shall not hesitate to engage in a life-and-death struggle with you," Yun Yan retorted icily. The emperor's expression darkened, yet he was reluctant to become adversarial with Yun Yan, for her possession of the heavenly Tao's fortunes was considerable, along with the heavenly emperor's throne and sword. Although she had recently attained enlightenment, her prowess was not to be underestimated. "You, as the heavenly emperor, dare to defy the heavenly Tao," the emperor scoffed, vanishing in an instant. Yun Yan's gaze deepened as she contemplated the endless void, ultimately sighing softly before returning to the heavenly court. At this moment, within the realm of his own body, Qing observed the events unfold while seated before the sacred tree of time and space. The imprint of the Dark Sovereign had already transmitted to the Dark Clan, and it seemed that before long, darkness would invade the mythical great world. Qing sensed his own strength, currently at the early stage of quasi-saint, yet still surging upwards. Having obtained the forbidden tree, this blackened entry, he had sown the seeds of darkness in every chaotic being encountered, continuously siphoning their power. Moreover, the temporal flow within his internal world differed from the external world, complemented by other supportive entries for cultivation. In no time, he would likely break through to the mid-stage of quasi-saint, bringing him one step closer to attaining the status of a saint. Once he achieved enlightenment, allowing the mythic projection to return, he could instantaneously transcend the boundaries of the heavenly Tao, perhaps even ascend to greater heights. Although the mythic projection currently remained at the threshold of the heavenly Tao, its destruction would not be easily accomplished. Perhaps he could exploit the impending dark invasion of the mythical great world to further his aims. Qing continued to observe the situation within the mythical great world, simultaneously entering a state of cultivation. At this juncture, within the chaos, as the imprint of the Dark Sovereign erupted, all dark beings took notice of the mythical great world. They had not anticipated that such a vast world lay hidden here, appearing quite intact, possibly harboring powerful beings of the heavenly Tao. The chaotic and desolate realms now concealed themselves deeply, yet it was only a matter of time before they would be uncovered. Securing this great world seemed beyond their grasp. Instead, They resolved to summon stronger members of their clan to intervene. Nearby dark beings returned to the Dark Clan, reporting their findings layer by layer. Deep within the Dark Clan, 10 dark thrones floated, each occupied by formidable entities of at least mid-heavenly Dao strength. Their appearances varied greatly, even suggesting they belonged to different races, yet all were part of the Dark Clan, having long since been possessed. The terrifying beings seated upon these 10 dark thrones represented the pinnacle of the Dark Clan, awaiting the awakening of the existence lurking in the shadows. Our master shall awaken in a few years' time. Those worlds concealed so deeply appear promising, each possessing complete heavenly Tao. Let us divide our efforts and bring these worlds to our master as nourishment upon his awakening. One powerful entity, seated at the apex of the dark thrones, remarked. The other dark thrones expressed no dissent, nodding in agreement. Despite numerous internal conflicts within the Dark Clan, they had reached a unanimous consensus regarding this matter concerning their master. The Azure Emperor sat pensively outside the Grand Hall, gravely observing the 10 terrifying auras departing in different directions, astonished by the hidden strength of the Dark Clan. Realizing the mythical Great World was in peril. However, a faint smile crept upon his lips, for just moments ago, he had sown forbidden seeds within the very beings seated upon the 10 dark thrones. Unbeknownst to them, they had inadvertently become nourishment for his own growth. It would not be long before he reached the pinnacle of quasi-saint and began his journey towards enlightenment. The 10 beings upon the dark thrones had departed, carrying away a significant portion of the Dark Clan's strength. At that moment, a strand of monkey hair appeared before the Azure Emperor, and the chaos magic ape chuckled mischievously, declaring, "Now is the perfect opportunity. Let us plunder the Dark Clan and then make our swift exit." Chapter 325. A complete pillage. The Azure Emperor nodded slightly. With the Dark Clan nearly emptying its nest, as long as the sleeping presence did not awaken, the chaos magic ape would be virtually invincible. Excellent idea. Let us set our plan into motion, striving to depart before the Dark Thrones return. They vanished from the Grand Hall, arriving at a different location. A narrow and shadowy dwelling for the Dark Clan's servants. The Chaos Magic Ape, the Chaos Beast Emperor, the Extreme Emperor, the Void King, and Qingmu were quietly discussing matters, occasionally breaking into mischievous laughter. This is a splendid notion. I may have the opportunity to establish a world and challenge the heavenly Tao, the Chaos Beast Emperor chuckled. Indeed. But we must ensure a clear escape route. Always prepared to retreat, the Extreme Emperor added with a smile, showing her interest in such endeavors. The treasure vault likely conceals a powerful being of the heavenly Tao. Leave that to me, the Chaos Magic Ape proclaimed with a grin. At that moment, the Azure Emperor appeared not far off, wearing an unusual smile as he began conspiring with them regarding the Dark Clan's treasure vault, simultaneously devising an escape plan. In truth, prior to their infiltration of the Dark Clan, the Azure Emperor had left behind thousands of escape routes, should they wish to leave. Even the pinnacle of the heavenly Tao would be unable to stop them. Moreover, these were passageways constructed from golden sacred swords, each comparable to a sacred artifact, ensuring the stability of the routes. Hearing the Azure Emperor's words, the Chaos Magic Ape's golden pupils sparkled with excitement. If that is the case, we can act without reservation. Do not forget the sleeping presence. We must still be cautious, the Azure Emperor reminded. Once their plans were finalized, they split up. As the Dark Clan possessed several treasure vaults, categorized into outer and inner sections. The strongest beings guarding the outer vault were merely at the saint level. So the Chaos Beast Emperor led the Extreme Emperor, the Void King, and Qingmu to advance. The Chaos Beast Emperor practiced the path of destruction. The Extreme Emperor the path of time, the Void King the path of space, and Qingmu the paths of creation and wood. Each of their paths was formidable, and in collaboration, they could even contend with early heavenly Tao opponents. As for the Dark Clan's inner vaults, the Azure Emperor and the Chaos Magic Ape acted independently. Both possessed absolute confidence in their abilities, sufficient to navigate through the Dark Clan alone. Furthermore, they moved with remarkable speed and were adept at creating clones. Even in the face of unexpected events, they could swiftly assist each other. The Chaos Magic Ape and his companions had long since identified the locations of the Dark Clan's treasure vaults. The Azure Emperor arrived at one such vault and infiltrated it directly. His methods of concealing his presence were nearly foolproof, rendering even the Tao lords of the world unable to detect him. However, each treasure within the treasury is ensnared by formidable seals, which will trigger upon any movement. These seals are profoundly intricate. Although the Azure Emperor possesses the confidence to unravel them, it demands considerable time. He swiftly unsheathes the chaotic holy sword, invoking the ultimate realm, and strikes directly at the seals. In an instant, order collapses, and the chains of law shatter. The moment the seal is cleaved, An overwhelmingly terrifying aura surges forth to assail the Azure Emperor. A man clad in black robes, his visage chilling and his dark armor formidable, thrusts a pitch-black spear towards the Azure Emperor, instantly freezing the flow of time and space. Indifferently, he remarks, "You truly seem impatient to meet your end." The Azure Emperor, engaging the ultimate realm alongside demonic sorcery and the blood of the battle saint, experiences a rapid surge in combat prowess while simultaneously weakening his foe. With the chaotic holy sword, he effortlessly deflects the spear, asserting, "Your essence betrays your nature. You are not of the Dark Clan. What concern is it of yours? Die." The black-armored man remains icy, impatiently launching another assault. Yet, the corners of the Azure Emperor's mouth curl into a faint smile as he once more counters the attack and advises. "The Dark Clan is shunned by the chaotic beings. Do you truly wish to ally with them?" The black-armored man hesitates, a flicker of contemplation crossing his eyes. Yet at such a level of cultivation, his resolve is unyielding, impervious to mere words. He senses that the intruder before him is merely a half-step into the Tao realm. Yet his power is astonishing. No longer withholding, he unleashes a devastating strike with his spear, as if to shatter the very fabric of time itself. The Azure Emperor merely swings his sword, severing the spear and the man's form in one fluid motion. A smile graces his lips as he quips, "Did you truly believe I wished to engage in idle chatter? I was merely gathering strength." A black void consumes the remnants of his opponent. And with a flick of his sleeve, the entire treasury is claimed by the Azure Emperor. He then sets his sights on the next treasury, but suddenly, his gaze shifts to a distant hall. There stands Yi Chun, now a slave to the Dark Mother, engaged in dual cultivation with her daily. Though Yi Chun is but an immortal emperor, the Dark Mother stands at the pinnacle of the saint level, resulting in Yi Chun's cultivation soaring to the mid-stage of the Great Luo realm in a remarkably short time frame. This fellow's path is truly wondrous. The Azure Emperor chuckles, choosing to disregard Yi Chun as he proceeds to the next treasury. In a brief span, numerous treasuries are thoroughly plundered by the Azure Emperor. Upon reuniting with the chaotic demon ape, they exchange knowing smiles. The internal treasuries of the Dark Clan have been nearly depleted. It is time to withdraw. Let us depart. They arrive at the periphery of the Dark Clan, where, as expected, the chaotic Beast Emperor and others display broad smiles, indicating bountiful gains. The Azure Emperor activates a prearranged passage, and they vanish without a trace. This place, far removed from the chaotic wasteland, is desolate and barren, the surroundings eerily empty. Where the Azure Emperor's consciousness traverses, no life exists. This locale is suitable. I can establish a world here and strive for the Tao realm. The chaotic Beast Emperor remarks with a grin. The Extreme Emperor, the Void King, and Qing Mu all nod in agreement, acknowledging the staggering rewards of this venture. The treasures of the entire Dark Clan are immense. Even with these resources, they could easily transcend, with plenty left over. I can safeguard your path. The chaotic demon ape, wielding an iron staff, expresses genuine joy for his companions. These friends, forged through countless years, offer him solace amidst the chaos. Otherwise, he would be adrift in the void, time dragging painfully. The Azure Emperor observes them, reassured by the protection of the chaotic demon ape. This place is secure. I intend to return to the mythical great world to address the Tao. Once everything is settled, I shall reunite with you. They may not fully grasp the extent of their leader's power, but in terms of survival, not even the Tao could claim the Azure Emperor's life. Thus, they rest easy. The chaotic Beast Emperor chuckles, "Return promptly, boss. Once we break through, we shall embark on a grand endeavor. After our breakthrough, I suggest we first deal with the primordial demon god. That wretch has pursued us for far too long," the Extreme Emperor suggests, eyes gleaming with hatred. Agreed. They begin their breakthroughs as the Azure Emperor departs, disappearing into the vast darkness of chaos. At this moment, beyond the mythical great world, the Dark Throne looms over the realm. Behind it lies an overwhelming dark army, including several saints. This world is rather splendid, perhaps the finest within the chaotic wasteland, with the Tao even reaching the mid-stage of the Tao realm. Offering it as sustenance to the master is indeed a splendid choice. As the impending crisis looms, the mythical great world begins to tremble. The Tao finally reemerges. Chapter 326. The Tao flees. The Tao manifests as a youth clad in a white robe, strikingly handsome, with eyes that convey an unsettling emptiness. Though he appears youthful, he has existed for countless years. He is known as the Tao Sovereign. Now at the mid-stage of the Tao realm. Before embodying the Tao, he was also a chaotic being, fully aware of the terror of the dark entities. His expression betrays frustration and regret. He never anticipated that the Dark Sovereign, a mere pawn, would cause such upheaval. Had he known, he would have eradicated him outright. A fierce determination glimmers in his eyes. Among the dark beings, there exists only one at the Tao realm. If he can vanquish this foe, he could escape with the mythical great world. However, he hesitates, recognizing the daunting challenge before him, for the Dark Throne is a treasure in its own right, emanating a terrifying presence that leaves the Tao sovereign uncertain of his ability to defeat it, let alone kill it. Beyond the mythical great world lies a seal formed by chains of order, followed by the void, and finally the world itself. The Dark Army moves with remarkable speed, advancing toward the chains of order. A mere trick. Do you think this can hinder me? The Dark Throne emits ripples, unleashing a formidable strike that shatters all chains of order in an instant. Among the ranks of the Dark Army, the primordial human emperor and moral Tao sovereign march side by side, their expressions anxious. Although they harbor grievances against the Tao of this world, it is still their birthplace. Why does the Tao continue to retreat? If only he could stall the being on the Dark Throne. We might ambush the other Dark Saints and perhaps preserve the mythical great world, the primordial human emperor urges, his urgency palpable as he communicates telepathically with the moral Tao sovereign. If the Tao does not act, neither shall we. The human and demon races have already taken root in my world. They will not perish, the moral Tao sovereign replies, his demeanor considerably calmer. As the Dark Army presses forward, the oppressive aura sends tremors of fear through the denizens of the mythical great world. What is happening? Why can I not move? A chilling presence engulfs them, more terrifying than a saint. Are the enemies from beyond the realm attacking our world? What of the saints? Where is the heavenly court? Why do they not intervene, leaving us to await our demise? The powerful beings of the mythical great world wear expressions of despair as they find themselves utterly powerless to resist. As the Dark Army surges into the void, the pressure on the mythical great world intensifies. Within the outer heavens, several saints of the mythical great world stand together, having attained their status through the Tao as providence. If this world falls, they too shall perish. Observing the Dark Army in the void, they note there are at least a dozen saints among them, the weakest being at the mid-stage of the saint level, with several at the pinnacle of saint strength. At that moment, a message from the Tao reaches their ears. I intend to abandon this world and leave alone. You are on your own. As the Tao sovereign departs, he takes with him the world's core, although it will require re-establishing a world, as long as the core remains. He is confident he can create a world comparable to the mythical great world once more. Hearing this, the Tao saints exchange glances, momentarily stunned. The Tao has truly fled. The original celestial sovereign bore a countenance shrouded in profound gloom. At this juncture, only a desperate battle remained. Very well. The Emperor of Heaven nodded slightly, igniting an inexhaustible fervor for combat. With the departure of the heavenly Tao, the absence of its divine power significantly diminished their strength. The original celestial sovereign stood at the pinnacle of the saint level, while Yin Yin and the Emperor were at the initial stage of the saint level. Those who achieved sainthood through the fortunes of the Tao were, aside from the alternative path practitioners, the weakest among them. Only the original celestial sovereign could endure a while longer in this dire situation. In the void, the entity upon the Dark Throne opened its eyes. Crimson radiance piercing through the chaos, it found the heavenly Tao's escape rather intriguing. This realm harbors no formidable beings. You shall occupy it, and I will return swiftly. The Dark Throne vanished, pursuing the direction in which the heavenly Tao had fled. The Dark Army pressed onward, and as they approached the mythical great world, the human emperor and the virtuous celestial sovereign suddenly erupted into action, creating a sacred technique proclaiming humanity's triumph over the heavens. Their self-created sacred art manifested as sword energy, transforming into a gentle breeze. Two formidable strikes swiftly annihilated two feeble dark saints. Only 15 dark saints had ventured here. With the betrayal of the human emperor and the virtuous celestial sovereign, and the demise of 2 dark saints, only 11 remained. These remaining dark saints exuded an overwhelming aura, swiftly surrounding the human emperor and the virtuous celestial sovereign. The leader among them emanated a terrifying presence, beginning to coalesce a world. Already a half-step into the realm of the heavenly Tao, he was taken aback, questioning how they managed to disguise themselves as dark beings. The human emperor remained silent, his fists gathering a fearsome might that made the void tremble. I am the human emperor of this realm. I beseech all beings to aid me in consolidating the fortunes of humanity. At that moment, within the mythical great world, the populace, though somewhat dazed, understood the gravity of life and death and silently prayed, causing an influx of human fortune to surge towards the human emperor. The original celestial sovereign's eyes sparkled with brilliance as he charged into the Dark Army, clearing a path for the human fortune. Regret surged within him. Had jealousy not drowned his rationality, he would never have betrayed humanity in the war against the heavens. Now, he sought redemption, simultaneously aiming for self-preservation. Concurrently, the Emperor and Yun also engaged, plunging into the Dark Army. The sacred battle was on the verge of igniting, with the human Emperor as the main force, clashing violently with the leading Dark Saint. Empowered by the fortunes of humanity, he barely managed to withstand the onslaught. The virtuous Celestial Sovereign and the original Celestial Sovereign faced immense pressure, while the Emperor and Yun, lacking sufficient strength, could only impede the Dark Army. Unable to intervene in such a fierce confrontation, they fought valiantly against a full 10 saints, their injuries mounting. At this critical juncture, one Dark Saint fully unleashed their fury. Their might akin to turning the rivers of stars, the malice in their eyes transformed into an overwhelming authority. For eons untold, as the Emperor of Heaven, I shall protect all beings. With a gentle incantation, the Emperor of Heaven stealthily approached the Dark Saint, delivering a fatal strike. The Wheel of Fate manifested behind him, summoning the ethereal river of destiny to shield against the other Dark Saint's assault. He was none other than the original Emperor of Heaven, who had vanished alongside the human Emperor, and his emergence reignited fervor among the populace. With the Emperor of Heaven's arrival, the pressures on the original Celestial Sovereign and the virtuous Celestial Sovereign lessened significantly. As the three of them clashed with 8 Dark Saints, they found a moment's respite. The Dark Saint engaged with the human Emperor, witnessing this turn of events. Darkened eyes reflecting a deep resolve. We withdraw. Let us not engage in futile sacrifices. When that esteemed individual returns, they shall all perish. The Dark Saints ceased their entanglement, leading the Dark Army to retreat. The human Emperor and the Emperor of Heaven exchanged glances. Though they were arch-nemeses, an unlikely collaboration emerged in this moment. With their return, the dynamics of the mythical Great World shifted once more. Several esteemed beings of the mythical Great World hovered in the void, deliberating strategies to counter the Dark Race. Chapter 327. The Yellow Sparrow lurks behind the Emperor of Heaven regarded the Emperor with utmost respect. You are indeed alive. This brings me great joy. Yet, why did you betray me back then? The Emperor of Heaven replied coolly, during the war against the heavens. You consistently evaded confrontation and were the first to flee from the heavenly court. The Emperor was rendered speechless, left without retort. The Emperor of Heaven chose not to speak further, merely standing by as external threats loomed, intending to address the Emperor later. He cast a deep glance at Yun, preparing to discuss countermeasures. Suddenly, the human Emperor glared at the original Celestial Sovereign. You actually allied with the Heavenly Tao and even killed the Buddha and the Lingbao. Give me an explanation. The original Celestial Sovereign remained silent, merely bowing his head. Now is not the time for such discussions. We must focus on how to confront the Dark Race. Let us not forget there are a full 10 Dark Thrones, the Emperor of Heaven remarked, gazing into the void. The human Emperor looked at the original Celestial Sovereign, ultimately saying nothing more, letting out a long sigh. He then began to propose strategies, stating, for now, we must cultivate internal forces. We are surrounded by dark beings and can scarcely escape. Aside from the Lingbao Celestial Sovereign, there are still several Celestial Sovereigns alive. Though they have entered reincarnation, I plan to seek them out. The Emperor of Heaven regarded the original Celestial Sovereign and the Emperor. I grant you an opportunity for redemption. Go to the edge of the void and construct defensive measures, standing on the front line. The original Celestial Sovereign and the Emperor hastened away towards the void's borders. The human Emperor also entered the mythical Great World, commencing the search for the reincarnated Celestial Sovereigns. The Emperor of Heaven cast a glance at Yun. You are still too weak. Gather the talented prodigies from the heavenly court. I shall impart wisdom to you all. Meanwhile, within the pitch-black chaos, the Dark Throne pursued the heavenly Tao, the entity atop the throne shedding its darkness to reveal its true form. A muscular, tempestuous body surged with power. Wild hair billowing behind, and 2 dragon horns atop its head appeared poised to pierce the heavens. He proclaimed himself the Dark Dragon Emperor, ranked 9th among the 10 Dark Thrones, at the mid-level of the heavenly Tao realm. Gazing into the vast darkness, his expression turned peculiar. This heavenly Tao, being of the same mid-level as I, has been cornered to this extent, yet it shows no fighting spirit, only a desire to flee. The Dark Dragon Emperor felt helpless. He harbored no fear of direct confrontation, but the adversary's singular focus on escape made it challenging to pursue them. However, for the slumbering master of the Dark Race, he had no choice but to continue the chase. The Dark Throne plunged into the endless darkness of chaos. Following closely behind, the Azure Emperor also pursued. While the heavenly Tao fled, the Azure Emperor found it unexpected and quite perplexing. Does the heavenly Tao only engage those weaker than itself? When faced with equals or superior beings, it does not hesitate to flee. He too pressed on, determined that the Dark Throne would not let the heavenly Tao escape. Waiting for the moment they would be mutually weakened before intervening. The chase in the dark chaos showed no signs of abating. Meanwhile, on another front, within the internal world, Su Qing sensed the projection situation, feeling quite exasperated. He glanced at the sacred tree of time and space, his fingertips radiating resplendent light as he sent a leaf soaring into it. Dixio was engaged in arduous training with the reincarnation immortal emperor in a secret realm when they witnessed the dark army's advance, only to be repelled by the human emperor and the emperor of heaven. A profound sense of crisis gripped them. The dark beings would not relent and would surely return for a second assault. Suddenly, Dixio received an instruction revealing the hiding places of all the reincarnated celestial sovereigns, along with the Buddha and the Lingbao celestial sovereign. Dixio's eyes brightened. His current power was too frail, but if he could locate these figures, the strength of the mythical great world would undoubtedly surge. Facing the impending darkness will be somewhat less arduous this time, as he has barely reached the initial stage of the immortal emperor. Even with a century of grueling cultivation, he would scarcely influence the tides of battle. Observing the reincarnation immortal emperor beside him, still shrouded in a faint aura of blood and not yet fully recovered from his injuries, Dixio chose not to disturb him. Instead, he left the communication talisman and departed quietly. Moments after Dixio's departure, the reincarnation immortal emperor opened his eyes, but alas, his cycle of reincarnation had been interrupted. Had it not been so, he would have soon attained the status of a chaos demon god, emerging as a sage. The heavenly Tao has already departed, and reincarnation is no longer under its control. I shall lend you a hand. The voice of Su Qing suddenly emerged. The reincarnation immortal emperor's eyes brightened. I am grateful, Master, but with the heavenly Tao gone, do you not intend to reveal yourself? The time has not yet come. With those words, the reincarnation immortal emperor, instead of meeting his demise, directly entered the cycle of reincarnation with his corporeal form. Within the cycle, Su Qing arrived, manifesting as one of his avatars. At this moment, he had reached the late stage of quasi-saint, his power rivaling that of any saint. He was in command of the reincarnation. Should it go unchecked, the entire mythical great world would descend into chaos. Upon the reincarnation immortal emperor's arrival in reincarnation, he beheld Su Qing with wide-eyed astonishment. Su Qing pointed towards the reincarnation tunnel behind him. This has been prepared specifically for you by my master. Its interior and the flow of time differ greatly from other reincarnation tunnels. Before the reincarnation immortal emperor could fully comprehend the situation, Su Qing gently nudged him into the tunnel. The reincarnation immortal emperor observed his surroundings and realized they were eerily familiar. This was, in fact, his abode from the primordial era. Suddenly, his body moved uncontrollably. He had traversed the vast seas and the 8 desolations, faced life and death crises on the continent of the Northern Sea's demon race, and fled into the Northern Underworld Sea where he encountered his master. Subsequently, when his master entered seclusion for life and death, he chose not to embark on the immortal path, but instead roamed the heavens, only to be tainted by ominous energies while exploring the netherworld. He later returned to his original world, constructed the Sea of Reincarnation, and sealed himself away. Eventually, he met his master again, who helped him rid himself of the ominous aura and comprehend his own path. This was his life, a cycle of experiences that seemed endless. Yet, the aura of the reincarnation immortal emperor grew increasingly terrifying, each cycle unveiling transformations in his talent and strength. Su Qing stood at the entrance of the reincarnation tunnel, observing this scene. At this rate, he would soon achieve the status of a chaos demon god. It was time to assist another disciple. His current strength was insufficient to protect himself amidst the turmoil. This simply would not do. At this moment, Taiyuan was treasure hunting in some ancient ruins. Having reached the mid-stage of the Great Luo realm, yet his battle prowess was formidable. With the enhancement of the supreme treasure, the slaughtering saint's sword, he could even contend with quasi-saints. Just then, Taiyuan arrived at the central stele of the ruins, his eyes filled with astonishment. This was, in fact, the profound insights left by the Lingbao Tianzuan. He began to sit beside the stele and ponder. Su Qing, observing Taiyuan's situation, realized that Lingbao Tianzuan seemed to be concealed here. After all, he could be considered a half-disciple of mine. So be it, let us proceed together. He directly tossed several hundred supreme medicinal herbs, each over 1,000,000 years old, before Taiyuan and Lingbao Tianzuan. They had already comprehended their own paths. Their cultivation depended on their own efforts, and what they lacked were merely resources for cultivation. Given the abundance within his inner world, he decided to generously provide them with more. Within the stele, Lingbao Tianzuan's remaining wisp of primordial spirit slumbered, but upon being awakened by the pure power, he was momentarily dazed. Is this an illusion? How could so many supreme herbs appear suddenly? Chapter 328. Confronting the heavenly Tao. Lingbao Tianzuan suddenly sensed a familiar aura emanating from these herbs. It was the aura of the Azure Emperor. His eyes instantly turned complex. The karmic debt incurred this time is rather substantial. It seems I must repay it slowly. Lingbao Tianzuan did not hesitate. He began to refine the herbs to reconstruct his corporeal form, while his primordial spirit rapidly restored itself. Before the steel, Taiyuan, who was comprehending Lingbao Tianzuan's path, stood frozen, gazing at the herbs scattered around. With this many, surely I could cultivate to the peak of the Saint Realm, truly worthy of being my master. Both Lingbao Tianzuan and Taiyuan engaged in their cultivation simultaneously. Su Qing watched this scene with satisfaction, nodding approvingly. Very well. It will not be long before they attain the strength of saints. He sat beneath the sacred tree of time and space, continuing his arduous cultivation in preparation for the impending enlightenment. A century passed swiftly, and the mythical great world experienced a period of tranquility. Everyone practiced their cultivation methodically, ever mindful of the looming threats from beyond the void. At this moment, outside the void, towering walls transformed into the heavenly Tao's great wall, safeguarding the void and repelling the dark army. Behind the heavenly Tao's great wall, massive fortresses pointed like swords towards the chaotic darkness, named the City of Chaos, with the primordial heavenly sovereign and the emperor seated within. Over the years, the forces of darkness had only launched small-scale attacks, refraining from large-scale warfare. Yet the battles remained fierce. Outside the heavenly Tao's great wall, countless corpses transformed into a terrifying malevolence. Those of weaker cultivation would be unsettled even at a distance, losing their will to fight. Within the mythical great world, the human emperor had located the silent destruction heavenly sovereign and the transcending tribulation heavenly sovereign, and with the assistance of Dixio, had also found the reincarnated forms of several other heavenly sovereigns. Within the central royal city of the great wilderness empire, he reassembled the human emperor's hall, where all the heavenly sovereigns practiced together, beginning anew to gather the fortunes of humanity. On that day, a handsome monk clad in moon-white robes stood quietly outside the human emperor's hall. It was indeed the world-honored Buddha, who had completed his cultivation and returned to the great Luo realm. The human emperor emerged from the hall and queried, "I have heard you were seeking me. What is the matter?" "I am aware of the current whereabouts of the Buddha. I hope you can assist him in regaining his form," the world-honored Buddha replied respectfully. Hands pressed together. A look of surprise suddenly appeared in the human emperor's eyes. Really? Is he still alive? Overjoyed, the human emperor had thought all hope was lost after the Buddha was slain by the primordial heavenly sovereign, yet now there was a possibility of revival. The Buddha comprehended the heavens and the earth, creating supreme sacred techniques, merging his will into the faith of the living. With your assistance, human emperor, he should soon be able to reconstruct his body. Very well, let us proceed at once. Meanwhile, deep within the chaos, the Dark Throne had been pursuing for a full century, while the heavenly Tao had been evading for just as long. Ahead lay one of the most terrifying forbidden lands within the chaos, the ominous Sea of Death. Even the Dark Throne dared not enter lightly. The heavenly Tao, sensing the danger, halted its advance, standing still as it glanced back and then forward at the forbidden land. Resolutely, it began to steel itself. Alongside the Dark Dragon Emperor behind, both were mid-stage heavenly Tao beings, and perhaps they could survive a battle, but entering the forbidden land was tantamount to certain death. Transforming into a colossal giant of white and black lightning, far exceeding even the mythical great world in size, the raging white divine thunder surged across its form, illuminating the endless darkness of chaos. It charged directly towards the Dark Dragon Emperor, seeking a glimmer of hope and survival. The Dark Dragon Emperor smirked coldly. "As a heavenly Tao, you abandon your world to flee alone? Even as an enemy, I cannot help but look down upon your actions." As he spoke, his body suddenly swelled, becoming a black divine dragon, its scales radiating a peculiar brilliance, which formed countless patterns swirling around it. The Dark Throne morphed into a black battle armor, clinging to the Dark Dragon Emperor's form. His aura became even more terrifying. Each Dark Throne was an exceptional chaotic spiritual treasure, exuding unparalleled might, shaking the universe. The white lightning giant and the black divine dragon clashed fiercely outside the ominous Sea of Death, their power causing the entire chaos to tremble, and the terrifying fluctuations spread, causing countless chaotic beings to flee in haste. The heavenly Tao is eternal. The furious body shatters the heavens. Two terrifying forces erupted within the chaos, stripping all things of their vibrancy, as both sides unleashed their most formidable powers, seemingly intent on reshaping the very heavens. The Dark Dragon Emperor was taken aback. He found himself at a disadvantage, a wave of frustration surging within him. With such strength, why did the heavenly Tao flee upon encountering him? It left him utterly speechless. Although the heavenly Tao's assault was fierce, They were of equal rank and understood the difficulty in vanquishing the Dark Dragon Emperor, thus seeking an opportunity to retreat once more. From the distance, shrouded in darkness, the Azure Emperor observed the battle unfold, finally igniting. Had it not been for the Forbidden Realm, he pondered how much longer the heavenly Tao would have fled. For now, he could only quietly watch the spectacle, waiting for both sides to inflict mutual destruction before making his move. The clash between the heavenly Tao and the Dark Dragon Emperor persisted for an extended period. With neither able to escape, ultimately, they could only resign themselves to the confrontation. Brilliant streams of light illuminated the cosmos as the embodiment of the heavenly Tao's thunder erupted. A battle sword manifesting in his hand, radiating terrifying lightning. This overwhelming force cleaved off the Dark Dragon Emperor's claw. Blood rained down into the chaos, each drop resembling a crimson microcosm. "Since you pursue me so relentlessly, I can only resolve to kill you," declared the Dark Dragon Emperor, his battle spirit surging with even greater fervor upon sustaining injury. "You possess such power, then why do you flee? How was I to know you were so weak? Had it not been for the dark battle armor, you would have perished long ago," the heavenly Tao bellowed in anger. The thunderous embodiment unleashed hundreds of strikes, all crashing against the Dark Dragon Emperor's armor. Though the armor remained intact, the Dark Dragon Emperor was severely wounded. The tide of battle had shifted dramatically, and the Dark Dragon Emperor began to contemplate retreat. He feared that if the fight continued, while his armor might withstand the blows, he himself could be obliterated by the thunder. The opponent's lightning was extraordinarily fearsome, capable of partially ignoring the dark battle armor to directly assault the soul. The relentless barrage from the heavenly Tao continued, yet his own embodiment had dimmed considerably since the outset, having consumed much of his energy. Ultimately, the Dark Dragon Emperor spewed forth a mouthful of blood and chose to withdraw. Losing face mattered little compared to the value of his life. He resolved to summon other dark thrones to take action, as the opponent could easily be annihilated. Just then, a look of shock appeared in the Dark Dragon Emperor's eyes, followed by a dimming of his gaze, devoid of any luster. The heavenly Tao, perplexed, observed this scene, wondering what had transpired. "I have yet to strike." At that moment, the immense form of the Dark Dragon Emperor was engulfed by a colossal black hole, from which the Azure Emperor emerged slowly, his black robe billowing without wind, his silvery hair cascading behind him. His purple-gold pupils regarded the heavenly Tao with indifference. "This moment, I have awaited for long." Chapter 329. Annihilation of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao beheld the Azure Emperor with astonishment. "You killed the Dark Dragon Emperor? How can you possibly be this powerful?" The Azure Emperor offered no explanation, gracefully wielding the chaotic sacred sword, unleashing a terrifying sword light. Accompanying this were countless golden sacred swords, saturating the entire chaos, sealing it off entirely. The heavenly Tao seemed to grasp something, noticing that the surrounding golden sacred swords and their sword light were not particularly potent. He conjured white divine lightning before him, intending to block the Azure Emperor's strike. "You are not capable of killing me." While he held a deep-seated fear of dark beings, he felt confident facing the Azure Emperor, whom he knew well. He speculated that the Dark Dragon Emperor had been gravely injured by him, only to fortuitously be taken by the Azure Emperor. During the rebellion against the heavens, the Azure Emperor had barely reached the pinnacle of quasi-saint, subsequently sealing himself within the Azure Emperor's tomb. He had only emerged a few centuries ago, at most having just attained sainthood. Yet the heavenly Tao evidently underestimated him. Although the sword light seemed unremarkable, it swiftly shattered the thunder, inflicting horrifying wounds upon his form. In just a fleeting moment of distraction, dozens of avatars appeared beside the Azure Emperor, each possessing strength equal to the original. Simultaneously, they unleashed their most potent strikes. The entire chaos was submerged beneath waves of golden sacred swords. Then came the second, third, fourth, and fifth waves of golden torrents. Ultimately, after thousands of strikes, the heavenly Tao fell silent, devoid of any further sound. After a considerable time, the chaos returned to its original state, leaving only a world core suspended where the heavenly Tao had once stood, radiating a pure white light. As the Azure Emperor approached the world core, he discovered that the heavenly Tao was remarkably resilient, still harboring a concealed will within. This indicated that with some time, it could resurrect. Just as he was about to strike again, he reconsidered and decided to take the world core, sealing the heavenly Tao's will within a Tao pattern. While minute bolts of thunder incessantly bombarded that well. "You wished to utilize thunder, did you? Then let us see how you fare with this sensation." A faint smile graced the Azure Emperor's lips as he swiftly took flight towards the mythic Great World, where other dark beings awaited resolution. While his main body was currently in seclusion, preparing for the path to sainthood, rendering him incapable of intervening. Moments after the Azure Emperor departed, A stunning woman emerged from the ominous Dead Sea. She was none other than the malevolent deity who had infiltrated the netherworld. The Azure Emperor is truly a terrifying existence. I hope to never become his enemy. At that moment, another figure emerged from the Dead Sea, revealing the second generation of the human emperor, Xiao. Upon hearing the name of the Azure Emperor, he was instantly taken aback. What did you say? It was the Azure Emperor who fought here just now? Indeed. He killed a dark being and then vanquished a powerful entity before departing, the malevolent deity explained. A dark being? Surely that world will not come to harm. Xiaohao's eyes brimmed with urgency. Very well, then I shall accompany you. On the journey back to the mythic Great World, the Azure Emperor scrutinized the system panel before him. He had just discovered the malevolent deity and Xiaohao, astonished that they were present in this place, the Dead Sea. The malevolent deity should have some connection to this realm. Or perhaps she was birthed here. Unfortunately, an exceedingly terrifying power lurked within, likely rivaling that of the World Tao Sovereign. Otherwise, he would have sought to gather some of the malevolent aura, as it could elevate the grade of his life treasure. Silently tracking them was somewhat challenging. But returning to the mythic Great World was quite simple. The Azure Emperor had left an avatar near the mythic Great World. Activating the avatar's Tao pathway, he instantly returned to the location of his avatar. He was now not far from the mythic Great World, and with the Azure Emperor's speed, he would soon return. However, en route, several terrifying presences converged, prompting the Azure Emperor to swiftly conceal his aura. The Dark Dragon Emperor was dead, indicating that the heavenly Tao of that world was formidable. Who would resolve the issues of that realm? The concealed worlds at the edge of chaos had all been claimed, leaving only that world remaining. Let us proceed together. Indeed, it is best. Our master is about to awaken, so we must make haste. The Azure Emperor, shrouded in concealed aura, bore deep, abyssal eyes. Among the other 9 dark thrones, the strongest had already reached half a step into the Tao realm. The Dark Dragon Emperor appeared to be the weakest among them. If they all ventured to the mythic Great World together, it would spell trouble. He resolved to return before them. Without the world core, no one could seize the mythic Great World. The target was immense and exceedingly apparent. Moreover, there was no presence of the heavenly Tao within. Should the 9 dark thrones descend, the world would be obliterated in an instant. With the world core now in his possession, he aimed to return before the 9 dark thrones and seize the mythic Great World. The chaos was vast. As long as he concealed himself, the Dark Clan would not find him. The Azure Emperor activated the eternal moment to traverse time and space, swiftly heading towards the mythic Great World. Yet, an unexpected turn of events transpired swiftly. As the first throne's presence detected the fluctuations in space and time, their gaze ignited. 2 dark beams of light piercing through time and space, aiming directly at the Azure Emperor. Dare to stealthily follow us, truly oblivious to the peril that awaits. Chapter 330. A complete outburst. The Azure Emperor instantaneously sensed a lethal crisis, activating his absolute defense in the blink of an eye. With effortless ease, he thwarted the onslaught from his adversary, casting the core of the world towards the mythical Great World, leaving behind a message. He chose to remain, striving to buy time. As his main body and nearby avatars exchanged positions, as chaos erupted, splitting open a colossal rift, the Azure Emperor emerged from within. This spectacle left the first throne astonished. His previous strike was capable of vanquishing a mid-stage celestial Taoist, a feat that even the lowest-ranked Dark Throne could not withstand. Yet, this opponent, merely a half-step celestial Taoist, stood unscathed. Who are you? Why do you spy upon us? I am the Azure Emperor. Upon hearing this name, the 9 dark thrones exchanged glances, seemingly communicating unspoken messages. A century ago, near the Hongming Golden List, a being named the Azure Emperor had ambushed the fragmented souls of World Tao Lords. He was indeed formidable. One of the thrones, bearing a grave expression, remarked. Simultaneously, they launched an assault to annihilate him. The secrets of the Dark Clan could not be allowed to leak. The 9 thrones unleashed their powers in unison, a terrifying onslaught that shattered the chaos, with shockwaves radiating for millions of miles. Such an assault would compel even those of the great Tao level to evade its edge. However, when this assault struck the Azure Emperor, it was effortlessly repelled by a radiant glow. With an air of impatience, he waved his hand dismissively, stating, "Such an attack cannot even harm a single hair on my head. What are the 9 thrones? Merely darkened crawlers." The 9 thrones were left in shock, exchanging bewildered looks. How is this possible? He actually withstood our assault. Could he be a supreme chaotic existence of the great Tao, merely concealing his aura, regardless of his identity? To insult my Dark Clan is to court death. I propose we continue our assault. He may simply possess a treasured artifact for protection, which surely cannot withstand a second strike. That makes sense. Once again, the 9 thrones unleashed their might. transforming their terrifying power into a black spear aimed at the Azure Emperor. In an instant, it was upon him, yet the next moment left them dumbfounded. The Azure Emperor, with an effortless gesture, blocked the black spear with ease. It appears that our efforts are futile against his formidable treasure. Let us not linger, we must take our leave. The 9 dark thrones resolved to depart, but the Azure Emperor grew anxious and took the initiative to strike. Maximizing elevation, creating a sacred technique of his own, he manifested 9 from 1. Avatars appeared beside him, while a resplendent golden holy sword erupted from behind, boundless and infinite, resembling a golden ocean that enveloped the entire chaos. The golden tide surged towards the 9 thrones. Realization dawned upon them. The Azure Emperor was indeed only a celestial Taoist, but he bore a treasured artifact that allowed him to withstand their attacks. The dark thrones swelled in size, effortlessly blocking the golden wave. Abandoning thoughts of retreat and greedily gazing at the Azure Emperor. He possesses a treasured artifact. Its rank is uncertain, but could it be a chaotic treasure? Very likely. If we seize it, we can present it to our master. Are you foolish? If such a treasure grants him this level of power while he is merely a half-step celestial Taoist, whoever captures it will eliminate the master and take his place. The 9 thrones' assault grew increasingly frenzied. While fending off the golden tide, they unleashed their full might upon the Azure Emperor. The Azure Emperor remained composed, activating his ultimate domain, his combat prowess soaring. The longer the battle raged, the stronger he became as the enemy weakened. Additionally, by maximizing elevation and burning his essence, his strength surged once more. Simultaneously, the more grievous his injuries, the more formidable he grew. Under this accumulation, his aura escalated wildly, nearing the level of the first throne. As the Azure Emperor's aura intensified, the 9 thrones became more frenzied. He was harnessing the effects of his treasured artifact, his power swelling while his essence dwindled. To achieve such terrifying combat prowess, it likely surpassed even chaotic treasures. Could it be the legendary Hongming artifacts? He cannot endure much longer. We shall retreat for now and allow him to perish. But just then, a spectacle unfolded that left the 9 thrones in shock. A sea of purple-golden blood materialized behind the Azure Emperor, resembling the merging of hundreds of great worlds, continuously supplying him with life essence. A smile graced the Azure Emperor's lips. This was a chaotic-level secret technique obtained through Sign-In, the Sea of Chaos Blood, which he had enhanced multiple times, rendering it even more potent. As long as the sea remains unexhausted, the Azure Emperor shall not perish. Come, let us battle. In his grasp, the chaotic holy sword erupted with boundless killing intent. With each swing, it summoned forth even more terrifying golden tsunamis. The overwhelming might left half of the 9 thrones injured. He can maintain the treasure and this terrifying secret technique, but his physical body will soon collapse. He cannot hold out for long. We must retreat. The 9 thrones began to retreat into the shadows, while the Azure Emperor entered a state of desperation, his combat power reaching its zenith. Behind him, the infinite purple-golden sea of blood provided life essence, sustaining a thread of vitality as he pursued them relentlessly. With each swing of his sword, his power surged further under the influence of demonic sorcery and the ultimate domain. Aren't you all quite arrogant? What are the 9 thrones? Dare you withstand my strike? The 9 thrones fled with increasing urgency. Initially, they merely intended to delay the Azure Emperor. Now, a single hit could spell their doom. Chapter 331. The final battle erupts at this moment. Within the mythical Great World, the complete demise of the Dark Dragon Emperor resonated with all dark beings, igniting the final battle as they frantically counterattacked the mythical Great World. Moreover, a multitude of dark clans surged towards this location. For the entire chaotic wilderness had been consumed by darkness, with all beings subjugated by dark entities. Amidst the vast, dark chaos, the mythical Great World shone like a brilliant star, drawing the gaze of all dark beings. Upon the celestial Tao Great Wall, the celestial emperor stood alone atop the battlements, gazing into the endless swarm of dark beings, his white imperial robe billowing as the wheel of fate spun behind him, exuding a terrifying aura that obliterated large swathes of dark entities. At that moment, a black seal flew in from the distant chaos, piercing through the dark army and landing in the celestial emperor's hand. Holding the black seal, astonishment filled his eyes. Azure Emperor, I never imagined you would be so audacious as to attempt to intercept the celestial Tao. However, with this artifact, I might seize this world's dominion and ascend to the celestial Tao realm. Stowing the black seal away, the celestial emperor vanished from the battlements of the celestial Tao Great Wall, leaving the original celestial and the emperor puzzled. Wasn't he here to fend off the dark army? Why has he left? The emperor inquired, bewildered. He must have more pressing matters to attend to, the original celestial remarked as he continued to clash with the dark saints. Yet, The Dark Army swelled in numbers. Originally, there had been only 8 saint-level dark beings. Now, there were over a dozen, with more arriving from afar. We may not be able to hold them off much longer. The Emperor grew anxious, surrounded by 3 dark saints, barely able to withstand their onslaught. Bloodied and weak, he found it hard to endure. After waiting so long for the Celestial Emperor's arrival, he was dismayed to see him appear only for an instant before departing, leaving him bewildered as he called out in desperation, "Where is the human sovereign?" At this rate, the Celestial Tao Great Wall will fall. At this moment, a striking red silhouette stood majestically against the cosmos, momentarily halting the advance of the Dark Army and freezing time itself. Clad in a crimson robe, Xianxian perched atop the towering walls of the celestial path, seemingly draining the world of its color, leaving only that vivid hue. Yet, this was merely her avatar. Her true self resided within the river of time, diligently preparing to attain enlightenment, on the verge of success. When that time came, her true essence would vastly surpass this incarnation. Seizing the fleeting moment, the Emperor and the primordial celestial master took a breath of relief, extricating themselves from the battlefield and returning within the celestial path as fortifications. Their wounds began to heal gradually. Xianxian's gaze was profound, peering into the depths of chaos. A realm far more magnificent than the mythic world, yet obstructed by the Dark Army. Otherwise, she would have relished the opportunity to explore it. Though the Emperor and the primordial celestial master had gained a reprieve, their expressions remained grim, for the Dark Army had drawn perilously close to the celestial path, their numbers swelling, including an increasing count of dark saints. Just then, the virtuous celestial master arrived, employing the divine art of one chi transforming 3 purities, plunging single-handedly into the Dark Army to confront 4 dark saints alone. A gentle breeze stirred, causing no significant upheaval, yet inflicting terrifying injuries upon the 4 dark saints. At that moment, 2 additional dark saints joined the fray against the virtuous celestial master. Unfazed, he remained resolute, his eyes growing ever colder and more indifferent, as he unleashed his self-created sacred technique, the heartless severance of the Supreme. This strike appeared to pierce through the annals of time, annihilating numerous dark beings, slaying 3 of the 6 dark saints, while the remainder retreated, heavily wounded. However, soon after, 10 more dark saints, all at the late saint level, emerged, compelling the virtuous celestial master to withdraw. The vast yin-yang taiji diagram manifested, dissipating the overwhelming onslaught. He had just executed his most formidable attack, leaving him greatly fatigued and ill-suited for further combat. At this juncture, the human sovereign also arrived at the celestial path's walls, surveying the endless tide of dark beings, his resolve solidifying. "Father, permit me to be the vanguard," Ling Zun said respectfully from behind the human sovereign. "You are merely at the peak of quasi-saint. Going forth would surely lead to your demise. You lack the strength to escape. Let the Buddha proceed." The human sovereign replied, as the Buddha approached, stepping through the void, each stride blossoming golden lotuses beneath his feet, radiating an extraordinary aura. He had reshaped his physical form and successfully attained enlightenment anew, his entire being aglow with resplendent Buddhist light. As he departed the celestial path and plunged into the Dark Army, he was immediately targeted by several dark saints. "Against you, I shall only slay, not save." He invoked his self-created sacred technique, the golden body of faith. The Buddha transformed into a towering golden form, wielding the demon-subduing pestle, forcing several dark beings to retreat in haste. The Buddhist light seemed to counteract the forces of darkness, rendering these dark saints severely strained. As the surrounding Dark Army was illuminated by the Buddhist light, they screamed in agony, disintegrating into ashes. Yet, the Buddha could not withstand the overwhelming assault of the numerous dark saints. The majority of powerful beings within the celestial path surged forth, charging into the Dark Army, each one fearless and fiercely battling the dark entities. The human sovereign, with unparalleled might and the fortune of humanity upon him, faced the majority of the dark saints alone. The tide of battle began to turn, with dark beings retreating steadily, their front lines receding further from the celestial path. Suddenly, an unparalleled force surged forth from the depths of chaos, invigorating the dark beings. With the arrival of a being of the celestial path, "There is no celestial way in this realm. We shall surely triumph. Charge!" A voice echoed from the depths of darkness, proclaiming the arrival of the true power of the Dark Clan. Revealing its true form, it was a grotesque and fearsome giant beast, emanating boundless dark energy, causing the forces of darkness on the battlefield to swell immensely. With colossal claws that could rend the heavens, it caused the celestial path to crumble, fissures appearing in the city of chaos, and the mythic world began to tremble violently. In an instant, countless ordinary souls perished in anguish, the populace lamenting, calling upon the names of the human sovereign and the celestial emperor. Enraged to the core, the human sovereign's eyes blazed crimson, even as mere ants. They would dare to test whether they could shake the heavens. Man can triumph over heaven. With a decisive step forward, the human sovereign's aura surged dramatically. Bearing the collective will of the populace, he advanced, blood weeping from his steps, recklessly charging towards the terrifying dark beast. Foolishness, merely larger ants. The chasm between saint level and the celestial path is insurmountable. Even with the power of the populace's will, death is inevitable. The dark creature's claws seemed poised to tear apart chaos itself, unleashing a torrent of force towards the human sovereign. Chapter 332. Blood battle against darkness. Within every being of the celestial path resides a vast world, endowed with the power of that world, rendering them incomparable to the saint level. Even with the augmentation of the populace's will, the human sovereign, deemed nearly invincible at saint level, remained utterly defenseless. His body was torn asunder by 2 claw marks, a rain of blood cascading into chaos. Though his form was shattered, the human sovereigns will press onward. Since you desire total annihilation, devoid of any chance of resurrection, I shall grant you that. The dark giant roared, its sound waves rippling for billions of miles, causing the city of chaos to collapse entirely. Many powerful beings within the mythic world were instantaneously gravely wounded and near death, while at the human sovereign's location. For beams of sword light coalesced into a supreme sword formation, shielding his will. Amidst the tremors, Tai Yuan and Ling Bao Celestial Master were roused from their deep seclusion. The Ling Bao Celestial Master swiftly shielded the human sovereign's will and retreated, preserving a glimmer of hope for him, gazing solemnly at the terrifying dark giant, which loomed immense. Even several times larger than the mythic world, an overwhelming aura emanated from it, instilling a profound sense of crisis within the Ling Bao Celestial Master. It seems we face an adversary that is utterly unconquerable. Even a mere blink from it could obliterate us. Ling Bao Celestial Master remarked bitterly. I have heard that the Dark Clan possesses 10 supreme thrones, each more powerful than this dark being. The virtuous Celestial Master, now stained with blood, spoke gravely. Tai Yuan, who had just arrived, was momentarily stunned. Having recently reached the pinnacle of quasi-saint, he had believed he stood atop the world, only to encounter such a terrifying foe in the blink of an eye. Internally, he mused, no wonder the master has always refrained from emerging, facing such a monster. He would likely be powerless as well. In that instant, a brilliant 9-colored radiance erupted within the mythic world, dazzlingly piercing through the darkness. The celestial emperor emerged, his white imperial robe billowing, long hair cascading freely behind him, the wheel of destiny revolving behind him. Employing his self-created divine art, eternal of the celestial emperor, his colossal form swelled to match that of the dark entity, and his aura proved equally formidable. The celestial emperor glanced back at the human sovereign's will, letting out a soft sigh. This nemesis was truly pitiful, evoking a sense of reverence. He directly guided the human sovereign's will into the cycle of rebirth to reconstruct his form. Now, the celestial emperor had refined the core of the world, utterly mastering the mythic world, and could manipulate the cycle at will. Countless pure white lights erupted from his eyes, restoring the city of chaos and the celestial path to their former state, the intricate patterns upon them becoming more complex and resilient. The virtuous celestial master and the others, illuminated by the white light, swiftly began to heal, gazing at the celestial emperor with incredulity. Could it be that he has successfully broken through at such a critical moment? It must be so. In such a short time, he could not have created a new world, but has instead broken through using the mythic world as a foundation. The celestial sovereign gazed at the fierce battle unfolding before him, devoid of any trace of dissatisfaction. Were it not for the timely intervention of the heavenly emperor, the mythical great world would have been on the brink of devastation, and they would have perished as well. The formidable beings of the human race possessed a profound understanding of the heavenly emperor. During the mythical era, it was not the heavenly court, the most powerful faction, that elevated the emperor to his status as the strongest. Rather, it was the heavenly emperor who distinguished the heavenly court, his prowess surpassing that of all its members combined. The heavenly emperor's avatar clashed fiercely with the dark beings amidst the chaos, both sides evenly matched in combat. Yet the heavenly emperor intentionally directed the battlefield away from the mythical great world, ensuring that the tumult of battle did not encroach upon it. Engaged in fierce combat with the dark beings, he remained oblivious to all else. As the dark army surged once more, launching an assault on the celestial wall, the virtuous sovereign and others initiated a counteroffensive. Bereft of the terrifying aura of the celestial domain to intimidate, they found themselves relatively untroubled by the other dark saints. The battle raged on, while within the cycle of reincarnation, Su Qing had previously left behind an avatar to guard against the faint will of the human sovereign. You are truly pushing yourself, he mused, but perhaps encountering me is your fortune. Channeling the power of the great Tao, the verdant radiance teemed with boundless vitality. Beginning to reconstruct the human sovereign's form. In mere moments, the human sovereign had fully restored, awakening to gaze in astonishment at the figure before him. Suddenly, he grasped the urgency of the situation, realizing the battle was still ongoing, and that he must hasten to join. Fear not. The Heavenly Emperor can hold his ground for the time being, Su Qing remarked nonchalantly. I do not believe we have met. Who exactly are you? The human sovereign inquired. Perplexed, Su Qing stroked his chin thoughtfully, noting, indeed, my true form differs somewhat from that of the Azure Emperor. He began to shift his appearance, transforming not only his visage but also his aura and essence. It is you, the Azure Emperor. The human sovereign exclaimed in shock, his heart relieved. He was well acquainted with the Azure Emperor. Had a mysterious entity invaded the mythical great world, he would have felt far less secure. Enough of this. I am but an avatar at present, yet I can grant you a fleeting semblance of the power of the celestial domain. Su Qing produced the Azure Emperor's token, which seamlessly merged with the human sovereign's essence. The human sovereign was about to rush to the battlefield, but was halted by Su Qing. Do not rush. The moment is not yet ripe. Just then, the dynamics of the battlefield shifted once again. As a terrifying presence emerged from the depths of darkness, another being of the celestial domain was approaching from the dark lineage. Chapter 333. The return of the Azure Emperor. The human sovereign decisively launched into action, and this time, Su Qing offered no hindrance. In the chaos beyond the celestial wall, the Heavenly Emperor's expression abruptly transformed. He could barely contend with one being of the celestial domain, yet two would undoubtedly prove overwhelming. Nevertheless, he unleashed an awe-inspiring aura, igniting his blood essence, determined to stand against the two celestial beings. At that moment, the human sovereign struck forth, igniting the masses with fervor. Even the Heavenly Emperor's countenance betrayed astonishment. How is it possible? You have recovered so swiftly. The human sovereign merely smiled and nodded, erupting forth with power rivaling that of the Heavenly Emperor, charging toward another dark celestial being. The fierce clash unfolded in the chaos, as the human sovereign and the Heavenly Emperor deliberately maneuvered the battlefield further away, striving to shield the mythical great world from repercussions. With just the two of you, you cannot halt the encroachment of darkness. More celestial beings and saints are on their way. What do you intend to use to stop them? The dark being bellowed amidst the chaos. Yet, the Heavenly Emperor paid no heed, as the wheel of fate spun rapidly, unleashing an array of brilliant light to strike fiercely at the dark beings. Soon, dozens of dark saints and 3 celestial beings emerged from the depths of chaos. A desolate and oppressive atmosphere pervaded the mythical great world and beyond the celestial wall, as reinforcements from the dark lineage continued to swell in number, all of them above the saint level. It seemed that only a desperate fight remained. Even if we must face death, we shall fight. Just as despair enveloped everyone, 2 figures emerged from the depths of chaos. The malevolent divine monarch bestowed all of his power upon Xiaohao, who momentarily attained the realm of the celestial domain. Xiaohao charged into the chaos, intent on fighting alongside the human sovereign, unperturbed by the looming shadows of demise. At that moment, several saint-level beings joined the fray, and the Empress of Earth returned from the depths of chaos, having become a complete being of the celestial domain, willingly entering the battle. The once despairing crowd ignited with renewed hope. However, even with the support of the Empress of Earth, their forces were still insufficient. With her, the mythical great world possessed only 4 beings of the celestial domain, yet they faced 5 dark celestial beings, struggling to hold their ground. Such an entertaining battle. How could I not join in? A boisterous laugh resonated across the battlefield. A fearsome entity tore through the chaos, the chaos beast monarch flanked by a dark red blade, emanating an unparalleled aura of destruction. Behind the chaos beast monarch, the extreme emperor donned white robes, immaculate and unblemished, her long hair cascading freely, causing the very fabric of space to stutter. Her beauty was captivating, yet her eyes sparkled with mischief. Having just breached the celestial domain, she needed to stabilize her power. These dark beings would serve perfectly for refining elixirs. The Void King stood at the rear, clad in golden robes, his every step threatening to rend the very chaos asunder. Exuding the most terrifying spatial power, a smile gracing his lips. Alas, if only the chief were here, the 4 calamities of the mythical era would be united. Then, a man in azure emerged, though none recognized him. He too was of the celestial domain, radiating boundless vitality. He was Qing Mu. They laughed and bantered as they plunged into the battlefield, seemingly disregarding the dark beings, even the celestial domain entities. In no time, They aided the Heavenly Emperor in overwhelming the 5 dark beings, with 7 beings of the celestial domain in the mythical great world swiftly obliterating the dark entities beyond the celestial wall. A collective sigh of relief surged through the crowd, who believed the war had reached its conclusion, even beginning to meditate for healing upon the battlefield. However, at that moment, the Heavenly Emperor gazed into the depths of chaos, sensing an unprecedentedly potent aura approaching. If the previous 5 were akin to frogs at the bottom of a well, this aura was like the resplendent moon in the sky. Immensely powerful. Deep within the chaos, the 9 great thrones converged, their terrifying presence inducing a profound sense of oppression, their expressions growing increasingly grave. Yet, the 9 great thrones appeared to be fleeing, their faces etched with fear, as a golden tide surged through the chaos, transforming vast expanses into a shimmering gold. Upon closer inspection, it became evident that this was not a tide, but myriad strands of terrifying golden sword energy. Each golden strand radiated with a formidable might that sent chills down the Heavenly Emperor's spine, instilling a sense of imminent peril. Behind the golden tide, the Azure Emperor's robe of great Tao principles shimmered brilliantly, his silver hair cascading like a river of stars, radiating dazzling light. Treading upon a sea of purple gold blood, he exuded an unmatched majesty, wielding the chaos holy sword with relentless strikes. Your time has come, do not resist any longer. His speed was astonishing, seemingly traversing time and space, rapidly pursuing the 9 dark thrones. Much time had elapsed, and within the ultimate realm, every second provided the Azure Emperor with terrifying combat power, while the malevolent sorcery continually weakened his foes, amplifying the Azure Emperor's own might. At this moment, the strength of the 9 dark thrones had been severely diminished, their speed significantly reduced. The Chaos Beast Monarch laughed with exhilaration, as expected of the chief. Truly formidable. Let us swiftly eliminate them. Chapter 334. The Dark Source Lord in the Depths of Chaos. The Azure Emperor's eyes radiated a purple-golden brilliance, causing the very fabric of chaos to tremble as he directly blocked the path of the 9 dark thrones. The 9 thrones momentarily stunned. The Azure Emperor instantly appeared behind them, unleashing 3 swift strikes with his sword, obliterating the 3 thrones in an instant. The master was on the verge of revival. No matter how powerful you are, you will be effortlessly subdued by him. The leader of the Dark Thrones revealed his true form, a bloodstain marking his brow, as he furiously chastised the Azure Emperor. It matters not. Until that terrifying existence of the Dark Clan awakens, I shall slay you all. The Azure Emperor's expression remained indifferent. Even he was astonished by the sheer terror of his fully unleashed power. Initially, he had intended to merely stall the 9 dark thrones, not anticipating their utter weakness. With each slash of his chaotic sacred sword, countless resplendent swords erupted with unmatched might, drowning the remaining thrones beneath towering waves of golden light. The other dark thrones were completely annihilated, and thus, the formidable warriors of the Dark Clan were ruthlessly slaughtered by the Azure Emperor, without any exertion on his part. The moment he disengaged from battle, the Azure Emperor's aura abruptly waned as he returned to the mythical Great World. Outside the celestial wall, even the Chaos Beast Emperor stood frozen, utterly astonished that the mightiest 9 dark thrones had been dispatched with such ease by their leader, truly beyond comprehension. The Celestial Emperor looked at the Azure Emperor with a complex expression. He was no longer a match for the Azure Emperor, whose figure was quickly becoming a distant silhouette. Just then, a terrifying scene unfolded. The Azure Emperor was pierced through by a blood-red spear, his body utterly obliterated. As the blood-red spear flew into the darkness, a monstrous beast, far exceeding the size of the mythical Great World, soared through the chaos. Its scales infused with the boundless power of the dark path. This was indeed a colossal beast of the Tao level. Even more horrifying was the figure standing atop the beast. A man in a blood-colored robe, exuding an unfathomable aura, as the blood-red spear returned to his grasp. This world is truly fascinating. Such a multitude of extraordinary existences has emerged. If you willingly submit, you may live. The Chaos Beast Emperor's face reflected stark terror. Could this be the terrifying existence lurking deep within the Dark Clan? His power was astonishingly formidable. He certainly did not believe that their leader had perished so easily. Even the recently unleashed Azure Emperor might have been merely a clone. The Celestial Emperor, the Human Emperor, and the Earthly Sovereign all displayed expressions of despair. The previous dark beings at the level of the Celestial Path still had some fighting spirit, but against this terrifying entity, they felt no inclination to resist. The disparity was simply too vast. It was as if mere dust stood before the cosmos. If the opponent wished to kill them, a mere glance would suffice. At that moment, yet another Azure Emperor emerged from the darkness, a system panel materializing before him. Dark Source Lord, Mid-level Tao, primordial demon god, source of darkness. Intent on annihilating chaos to recreate the primordial, the Dark Clan merely manifesting from his dream, combat power reaching the pinnacle of chaos. The Azure Emperor gazed at the system panel, falling into utter silence. The fact that even the Dark Clan was merely a manifestation of the opponent's dream indicated a terrifying existence, perhaps even surpassing the world Tao sovereign. Behind the Azure Emperor, the Chaos Demon Ape suddenly materialized, its eyes brimming with boundless fighting spirit, fixated on the Dark Source Lord. Even in death, it wished to perish in battle, rather than surrender in humiliation. Turning to the Azure Emperor, it laughed fiercely, stating, "It seems we haven't joined forces in quite some time. How about we engage this fellow in a desperate fight?" Agreed. A smile graced the Azure Emperor's lips as hundreds of clones manifested beside him, transcending to their ultimate forms, unleashing their supreme power. A vast ocean of golden sword light surged forth, as a chaotic sea of blood floated behind him. This time, it was the true body. Facing an existence like the Dark Source Lord, there was no escape, for the opponent could perceive causality and see through all. The fighting spirit of the Chaos Demon Ape erupted wildly, countless golden hairs shedding to become clones, all indistinguishable from him, though slightly weaker in aura. The Azure Emperor slashed with his chaotic sacred sword, while the Chaos Demon Ape swung its iron rod, two immensely terrifying auras sweeping across the entire chaos. Meanwhile, the Celestial Emperor seized the opportunity to absorb the mythical great world into his being, fleeing alongside the human emperor. They could not participate in such a battle at this level. The Dark Source Lord remained unfazed, observing the Azure Emperor and the Chaos Demon Ape's assault with a calm demeanor. "You both seem quite capable. If you are willing to become my subordinates, I can spare your lives." Yet, his assault remained relentless, showing no signs of abating. The Dark Source Lord's gaze turned cold, and the monstrous beast beneath him let out a thunderous roar, its sound waves shattering the offensive of the Azure Emperor and the Chaos Demon Ape. The Azure Emperor was drenched in blood, his Tao robes torn and tattered, the sacred artifact utterly destroyed. The Chaos Demon Ape's golden armor cracked, golden blood oozing from the corner of its mouth. "I can temporarily use secret techniques to hold him off. You should retreat." The Azure Emperor whispered to the Chaos Demon Ape, "I shall not retreat. I was born for battle, and to die in battle is my fate. To perish at the hands of the strong is my destiny." The Chaos Demon Ape laughed defiantly, unafraid of death. "Ah, so you truly wish for death? Then I shall grant it." The Dark Source Lord's eyes blazed with bloodlight, seemingly capable of subduing myriad paths, causing the chaos itself to fracture, as if the very essence of chaos was on the brink of annihilation. The Azure Emperor and the Chaos Demon Ape were engulfed by the blood radiance, their figures vanishing completely. At that moment, within the internal world, Su Qing's eyes fluttered open slightly, resembling an abyss or a prison. This day had finally arrived. Chapter 335. Completely invincible at this moment, Su Qing had successfully validated his Tao through sheer force. His physical form had reached an unprecedented level of terror, capable of directly confronting the Tao, as the power of the mythic projection of the Azure Emperor returned to his true body. His realm reached the pinnacle of the celestial path, and his physique underwent a transformation, becoming even more formidable. The current heavenly devouring Tao body's talent far surpassed that of the primordial demon god. If in the same realm, he could effortlessly slay the primordial demon god relying solely on his physical prowess. Additionally, what exhilarated Su Qing further was the system panel. Clone Tao has advanced to black. Clone Tao, black, capable of producing endless clones, each possessing the full power of the true body. Ultimate realm has advanced to black, transforming into the Tao of power. Tao of power, the mightiest force, disregarding realms, treasures, and defenses, perpetually enhancing strength without limits. Godslaying Sword Array has advanced to black. Godslaying Sword Array, black. Upon forming the Sword Array, it can unleash boundless slashing sword energy, capable of annihilating the primordial and subduing myriad paths, while simultaneously providing unparalleled defense. Demon God Evil Technique has advanced to black. Demon God Evil Technique, black. Significantly amplifying one's own power, while reducing the enemy's strength by half each second. Sign-in successful. Obtain the Source of Darkness. Source of the Primordial. A primordial treasure that can allow one's innate treasure to transform into a primordial spiritual treasure. This reward was obtained through signing in with the Dark Source Lord, perfectly suited for his several innate treasures. The 5 innate sacred swords, the Origin Battle Armor, and the Demon God Battle Armor had all transformed into primordial spiritual treasures. Excitement surged in Su Qing's eyes, his spirit soaring. He was now utterly invincible. There was no need to hide any longer, nor to traverse the world using clones. Should the river of fate dare to interfere with him, it would be rendered non-existent. His true form revealed amidst the dark chaos, he actively soared towards the Dark Source Lord. At this moment, the Dark Source Lord gazed at the now completely obliterated Azure Emperor and Chaos Demon Ape, expecting them to bring him some surprise. To his disappointment, they were so feeble. Truly boring. Riding the terrifying beast, he pursued the mythical Great World. But at that moment, the chaos in the distance erupted, and Su Qing emerged slowly from within. His appearance bore a slight resemblance to the Azure Emperor, yet his pupils and hair color were starkly different. Clad in ethereal white, he was surrounded by 5 unparalleled swords of slaughter, gazing indifferently at the Dark Source Master. As my adversary, you lack the requisite qualification. If you can withstand a single strike from me, I may spare your life. Such audacity. One can only hope that your strength matches your words. The Dark Source Master hurled the blood spear in his hand, and the entire expanse of chaos seemed poised to be torn apart, ripping through space-time as it hurtled towards Su Qing. Your weapon appears quite formidable. It now belongs to me. Su Qing leisurely extended his hand, effortlessly pinching the blood spear between his fingers before casting it into his inner world for reforging. He then lightly gestured towards the Dark Source Master, and his innate flying sword, Hongmeng, soared forth. Boundless purple energy erupted, and a terrifying wave of sword qi engulfed the entirety of chaos. The essence of Hongmeng suffocated the Dark Source Master, who felt an imminent threat and retreated in disbelief. How could this be? This sword emanated an aura akin to my own. However, as the Dark Source Master retreated for a few breaths, his expression suddenly shifted drastically. He realized that his own power had diminished significantly, and his speed was no longer what it once was. In just a single strike, the Dark Source Master, along with the colossal beast beneath him, was utterly slain. The Hongmeng sword, shimmering in purple, quivered slightly as if in excitement, devouring the Dark Source Master and entering a state of metamorphosis, evolving into a supreme treasure of Hongmeng. Its might was now exponentially more potent than before. As Su Qing's innate treasure, it had absorbed the characteristics of the devouring heavenly Tao body, allowing it to consume all and enhance itself. Moreover, since the Dark Source Master was a Hongmeng demon god, and the innate flying sword Hongmeng was formed from the fragments of the shattered Hongmeng, it effortlessly consumed the Dark Source Master and soon achieved a successful evolution. The Hongmeng sword returned to Su Qing's side, quivering with excitement. Its inner sword spirit akin to a new Hongmeng demon god, its prowess rivaling that of the Dark Source Master. Gently caressing the Hongmeng sword, Su Qing smiled faintly. Not bad. Since you've devoured him, I shall have to consume his mount. A massive black hole materialized, and the terrifying beast of the Tao was consequently devoured by Su Qing, solidifying his cultivation at the pinnacle of the heavenly Tao realm. If he were to consume a few more, he could likely achieve a breakthrough. Continuing his flight forward, he meticulously searched through the darkness, ultimately discovering a single strand of monkey hair. Luckily, the Chaos Demon Ape practiced the path of avatars, with each hair containing a fragment of its soul, making revival a relatively uncomplicated task. Behind Su Qing, a sea of purple gold blood manifested, devoid of any foul odor, instead exuding a fragrant aroma. The Chaos Blood Sea harbored an abundance of life essence, into which Su Qing cast the monkey hair. In a swift moment, the body of the Chaos Demon Ape completely restored itself, but the recovery of its soul was considerably slower and would likely require several days. Su Qing retracted the Chaos Blood Sea and pursued the Heavenly Emperor and the others. Sensing their presence, Su Qing's eyes widened in astonishment. How could they be moving so swiftly? Moreover, something about this place felt amiss. At that very moment, within the ominous Dead Sea, the Heavenly Emperor, the Human Emperor, the Earth Mother Emperor, the Chaos Beast Emperor, the Extreme Emperor, the Void King, and Qing Mu were all ensnared by a terrifying malevolent aura. They exchanged glances, having narrowly escaped one formidable existence only to be captured by an even greater one. Fear not, the boss will come to rescue us, remarked the Chaos Beast Emperor nonchalantly. The Extreme Emperor turned to the Human Emperor, questioning, "This seems related to your son, doesn't it? What exactly is going on?" The Human Emperor wore a bittersweet smile. "I am equally at a loss." Just then, an utterly terrifying aura emerged from the distance, rivaling that of the Dark Source Master. A towering figure stepped upon the surface of the ominous Dead Sea, each stride generating colossal waves. Clad in a flowing black robe, with peculiar patterns adorning his face and neck, he emanated a chilling presence. Xiao Hao followed closely behind, keeping his head bowed, unwilling to utter a word. "I am the Lord of the Ominous, ranked 4th on the Hongmeng Golden List. Who are you to warrant my daughter risking her life for your sake?" "Father, this matter does not concern them. Please spare them," implored the ominous goddess, her exquisite form exuding an air of vulnerability. The Lord of the Ominous seemed somewhat swayed. Rest assured, I shall not take their lives. Xiaohao glanced at the human emperor, hastily explaining, that is my father. She did this all for me. At that moment, a terrifying golden tide surged against the periphery of the ominous Dead Sea, causing violent ripples across its surface. The Lord of the Ominous bore a conflicted expression, sensing that the newcomer bore ill intent. I shall repel the enemy first, and then address your matter. In an instant, he vanished from sight. Just as he disappeared, Su Qing materialized in his place, observing Xiaohao and the ominous goddess with curiosity. What transpired between you two? I am quite intrigued. Chapter 336. The power of resurrection. The Chaos Beast Emperor regarded Su Qing, noting that his appearance mirrored that of the boss, albeit with subtle differences. And the aura surrounding him was utterly inscrutable. Tentatively, he inquired, are you the boss? Of course it's me. In fact, even the Azure Emperor is merely an incarnation of mine. This is my true form. Su Qing waved his hand impatiently at the Chaos Beast Emperor and the others, instantly liberating them from the bonds of the ominous aura. He then turned his attention back to Xiaohao. The human emperor approached, speaking gently. I too wish to understand the circumstances. Xiaohao exchanged a glance with the ominous goddess, and they began to recount their tale. Following the conclusion of the rebellion against heaven, Xiaohao retreated into the netherworld, subsequently succumbing to despair, lost in dreams for eons. Yet one day, he experienced an exceptionally peculiar dream, wherein he fell deeply in love with a woman, sharing countless years of companionship. During that time, he forgot the enmity between humanity and the celestial realm, living each day in bliss. However, upon awakening, he was forced to confront reality once more, leading him to establish the rebellion organization and continue his conflict against the heavenly Tao. Yet one day, the woman from his dreams unexpectedly appeared before him, and to his astonishment, she was not of the human race, but rather radiated an ominous aura, leaving him bewildered. The human emperor nodded, I see. But there are still some aspects that remain unclear. Su Qing turned to the ominous goddess, urging, please continue. The ominous goddess fell into reminiscence. I spent countless years in the ominous Dead Sea, where my father would slumber for hundreds of thousands of years. This solitude plunged me into a profound loneliness. I secretly took one of my father's treasures and traversed the chaos, inadvertently intruding upon his dreams, yet I found myself unable to forget him. Thus, I stealthily left the ominous Dead Sea and ventured into the netherworld to accompany him. But upon our first meeting, he did not appear joyful. Instead, he looked upon me with fear. She cast a sidelong glance at Xiaohao, her eyes filled with discontent. Su Qing nodded, piecing together the subsequent events. Following the heavenly Tao's machinations, Xiaohao was grievously injured by the emperor, and the ominous goddess brought him back to the ominous Dead Sea. Soon after, as dark beings attacked, she returned with Xiaohao to the mythical world, drawing the attention of the Lord of the Ominous. Consequently, he captured them all. At that moment, the imposing figure of the Lord of the Ominous descended from the heavens, crashing into the ominous Dead Sea. Su Qing retracted his avatar. Gazing at the Lord of the Ominous, you are already aware of the specifics, so what do you intend to do? The Lord of the Ominous appeared utterly disheveled. His aura significantly diminished from its initial strength, clearly bearing the marks of severe injury. He cast a deep glance at Su Qing. Was that merely an avatar you employed in our earlier confrontation? In truth, I fear inadvertently causing your demise. Thus, even in the case of a manifestation, I have wielded only a fraction of my strength, Su Qing remarked with a faint smile. He gazed upon the system panel, which declared, sign-in successful. Acquired the black attribute, resurrection power. Resurrection power, immortal and indestructible, capable of instant recovery from all injuries, and able to revive the deceased. Su Qing contemplated the system panel, acknowledging the formidable nature of the attribute. However, his current prowess rendered him utterly invincible. Even if the strongest beings within the chaos were to unite against him, they could not inflict harm upon him. Nevertheless, the ability to resurrect the dead proved to be exceedingly practical. The Chaos Beast Emperor, the Heavenly Emperor, and the Human Emperor regarded Su Qing with expressions of astonishment. When did your strength attain such terrifying heights? What of the Dark Source Lord? Su Qing replied calmly, as if peering into a deep abyss. I dispatched him with a single stroke of my sword. He fixed his gaze upon the Lord of the Unfathomable. The Lord of the Unfathomable was profoundly shaken. There were few beings of great Tao within the chaos, and they were all acquainted with one another. Although he ranked fourth on the primordial golden list, he was no match for the Dark Source Lord. The fact that the Dark Source Lord was slain in a single blow raised questions about the sudden emergence of such a terrifying existence within the chaos, particularly as it had not triggered any disturbance, nor had there been any reaction from the Gate of Tao, indicating that Su Qing had not yet reached the level of the Great Tao. The act of countering the Tao only deepened the Lord of the Unfathomable's astonishment. With a deep sigh, he declared, "Let this matter rest. I shall not pursue it further." He then turned to the Heavenly Emperor and the Chaos Beast Emperor, saying, "You may remain and listen to my teachings. It may prove beneficial to you." The Lord of the Unfathomable sought to forge an alliance with Qing, but recognizing the vast gulf in their strengths, he aimed to approach these individuals instead. Qing regarded him with a single glance, choosing not to press the matter further. With a flourish of his sleeve, he unleashed several marks that merged into the body of the Chaos Beast Emperor. Within these marks existed a hidden space, concealing a manifestation of himself. "You may cultivate here in peace. I shall explore the depths of the chaos and settle accounts with the world Tao Sovereign," he declared before vanishing from sight. Only when Qing's presence was no longer felt did the Lord of the Unfathomable exhale in relief, subsequently remarking with a hint of malice, "It seems chaos is about to ensue. Those old-timers have remained aloof for too long and may soon find themselves toppled." He turned his gaze toward the Chaos Beast Emperor and the others, stating, "You have only just ascended to the heavenly Tao realm. Take this time to solidify your cultivation." His attention then shifted to the human emperor and Xiao Hao. With a hint of irritation, he added, "During this time, I will assist you in establishing worlds and advancing to the heavenly Tao realm." Xiao Hao bowed in acknowledgement, but received a disdainful glance from the Lord of the Unfathomable. "You have repeatedly abducted my daughter. We shall settle this score in due time." Xiao Hao offered an awkward smile. Yet he sensed that the Lord of the Unfathomable bore no lingering hostility, instead appearing as a stern mentor. In the shadows, Qing observed silently, nodding slightly. The Lord of the Unfathomable harbored no intent to kill the Heavenly Emperor and the others. Even in his absence, it was merely a lesson. This was also the reason Qing spared his life. Otherwise, he would have simply executed him without further ado. Stepping forth, he arrived at the central continent of chaos, where the primordial golden list floated, emanating an ethereal glow as if it had existed since time immemorial. The last time he was here, it was to rescue the Chaos Beast Emperor and engage in a fierce battle against a fragment of the world Tao Sovereign's soul. Now, he descended in an invincible manner. Gazing at the primordial golden list, he noted that the fifth was the world Tao Sovereign, the fourth the Lord of the Unfathomable, the third the Lord of Fate, the second the Lord of Time, and the first the Void Sovereign. The Void Sovereign established the primordial golden list, placing himself at the pinnacle. Yet, the beings of chaos knew only his name, having never witnessed his battles, with no records to speak of, merely a title. Qing attuned himself to the aura of the primordial golden list, seeking out the world Tao Sovereign through the pathway of cause and effect. To his surprise, he found him in that very location. Chapter 337. Invading the River of Fate. At this moment, the world Tao Sovereign stood at the source of the River of Fate, confronting the Lord of Fate. This standoff had persisted for several epochs, dating back to before the birth of the mythic Grand World. The world Tao Sovereign cultivated the path of worlds, striving to create boundless realms, while the fates of the beings within those realms remained under the dominion of the Lord of Fate. Thus, he was forever bound by the Lord of Fate's control. Aiming to reclaim the fates of countless beings, the world Tao Sovereign sought to elevate his own power. However, should he seize back the fates of these beings, a piece would be missing from the River of Fate, and the Lord of Fate was adamantly unwilling to compromise. They had remained locked in this standoff at the source of the River of Fate for countless years, unable to gain the upper hand over one another. Yet now, this equilibrium was on the verge of shattering. A tremendous crack erupted above the River of Fate, and Qing slowly emerged from within. He gazed at the River of Fate, which stretched for innumerable miles, chronicling the destinies of all chaotic beings. Only by transcending to the great Tao level could one break free from fate and attain absolute freedom. The world Tao Sovereign looked at Qing with astonishment and fury. Recognizing him as the Azure Emperor who had slain his disciple and annihilated his fragment of soul. "You dare to find your way here. Are you seeking death? Allow me to escort you on your journey." Qing's expression remained placid as he drew forth his innate flying sword, the primordial sword, unleashing a torrent of lethal sword energy that ravaged the air above the River of Fate, severing the standoff between the world Tao Sovereign and the Lord of Fate with a single stroke. "You are mistaken. I am here to kill you," Qing asserted, his demeanor still unperturbed. "How is it that your fate lies beyond my control?" The Lord of Fate regarded Qing with a cold expression, rife with animosity. "He is an anomaly. Why not join forces to eliminate him?" The world Tao Sovereign suggested with a darkened countenance, feeling an overwhelming pressure emanating from Qing. The Lord of Fate nodded in agreement. "Very well, but afterward, do not entangle me further." "Agreed," the world Tao Sovereign affirmed. They both launched their attacks simultaneously. unleashing a dazzling brilliance from the river of fate that erupted into a cataclysmic wave directed at Su Qing. The World Tao Sovereign unleashed a strike imbued with the power of countless worlds, an unfathomable force combining the strength of innumerable realms. Each world far exceeding those newly birthed in the heavenly Tao realm, yielding tremendous might. Yet, Su Qing merely gripped the primordial sword, and with a gentle flick, he obliterated the two forces, severing the river of fate, causing the Lord of Fate's body to shatter into fragments. Countless worlds crumbled, ephemeral and dreamlike, disintegrating in an instant. The World Tao Sovereign was cleaved asunder, devoid of life. The bodies of the Lord of Fate and the World Tao Sovereign were consumed by a black hole. And Su Qing's aura surged once more, as if he were on the brink of transcending to the great Tao level. Su Qing observed this with indifference, casually waving his hand. Though the Lord of Fate had perished, the River of Fate could not yet vanish. Should the River of Fate disappear, the beings of chaos would descend into uncontrollable turmoil, lost in a state of chaos. He merely wished to leave the beings of chaos with a glimmer of hope. Even without transcending to the great Tao level, they could attain absolute freedom, providing them with the opportunity to escape the River of Fate. With the demise of the Lord of Fate, the River of Fate became a lawless domain, enticing several great Tao beings to peer into it. However, with a single beam of sword light, Su Qing dispatched these great Tao beings, their bodies likewise swallowed by the black hole, transforming into nourishment for Su Qing's growth. Su Qing's expression shifted. He was actually beginning to break through to the great Tao level within the River of Fate, yet he remained undaunted, treading upon myriad paths and forging ahead. The god-slaying sword array encircled him, and his original battle armor and demonic armor radiated boundless brilliance, all serving to protect Su Qing. As his aura surged, his consciousness ventured into an unknown realm. It was an expanse of darkness, with only a colossal portal standing before him. This was the fabled gate of the great Tao. Should one step through this portal, they would attain the pinnacle of the great Tao. However, they would encounter unprecedented obstacles. For the entities dwelling within the portal would not permit the emergence of another being at the great Tao level. This elucidates why, amidst the chaos, there exist numerous peak entities of the heavenly Tao, yet so few at the great Tao tier. Unfortunately for them, they encountered Su Qing, who laughed with reckless abandon. "You decrepit old fools, if you do not make way, do not blame me for shattering your great Tao. You young imp, you lack the qualifications to speak so arrogantly. Depart this realm of the great Tao at once, or even if you succeed in your breakthrough, we shall unite in this world to slay you. Now begone." In this peculiar domain, all external forces were rendered ineffective. Only the innate power of the great Tao could be wielded, allowing those within the portal to act with impunity. Yet, to their astonishment, Su Qing unleashed a single punch, emanating an overwhelming force that instantaneously reduced the great Tao gate to mere dust. A colossal black hole emerged behind him, devouring the remnants of the shattered great Tao gate. "Weren't you just brimming with bravado? Why the silence now?" Su Qing smirked lightly, each step radiating an unfathomable terror that caused the great Tao of those elders to disintegrate until it vanished completely. They plummeted in rank, reverting to the peak of the heavenly Tao. In this moment of the unknown realm, only two beings remained standing. One was the Lord of Misfortune, who stood in shock, unable to comprehend what had transpired. He had known Su Qing was formidable, but never to such an extent. The very great Tao gate had been obliterated by a single punch, leaving him utterly astounded, and he instinctively cleared a path, gazing upon Su Qing with reverence. The other being was the Void Emperor, clad in white garments, his aura unremarkable, resembling an ordinary scholar, devoid of any semblance of a strong presence. He gazed at Su Qing, a smile forming on his lips. "Qing Emperor, I have encountered you long ago, albeit you were unaware of my existence then. Speak plainly. Do not beat around the bush, or I shall not hesitate to strike." Su Qing replied with indifference. The reason he spared the Void Emperor was the peculiar sense of familiarity he felt. "I bear another name, the Void Divine Realm, which you bestowed upon me years ago. The King of Calamity, who once instructed you, is but one of my incarnations." Su Qing was suddenly enlightened. He recognized that one of the incarnations from the mythic era was the Eastern Celestial Emperor, a being of high rank within the heavenly court. He had failed to locate the King of Calamity among the human and other races. Logically, such a powerful entity should not remain obscure. To his surprise, it was indeed this incarnation. Intrigued, Su Qing inquired, "Then why do you descend into that world?" Chapter 338. The final chapter. In every world, there exists such a place. Regardless of its size, I cultivate the path of the illusory and the real. The world corresponds to reality, while I correspond to the unreal, the Void Emperor elucidated. Su Qing nodded slightly. "In that case, I shall spare you this time. Should your path collapse, the chaos may lose a great deal of amusement. The Void Emperor's tense form relaxed instantly, for the power of the Qing Emperor was simply too terrifying. Even standing beside him dimmed his own brilliance. He bowed respectfully to Su Qing before vanishing completely. The Lord of Misfortune sighed. You have shattered the great Tao Gate, severed the river of destiny. The chaos may witness tremendous changes, perhaps heralding the dawn of a new era. Without the great Tao Gate, there may be an increase in great Tao beings, and chaos could become even more prosperous. Su Qing smiled faintly and disappeared into the unknown realm. The Lord of Misfortune's thoughts raced, although the great Tao Gate was gone. This domain could be considered a treasure. Was it perhaps a deliberate gift from the Qing Emperor? He sighed, pondering whether, with his strength, he should truly care for such matters. As all great Tao beings within the chaos fell in rank, unprecedented turmoil erupted throughout the chaos. On the central continent, only 3 names remained on the primordial golden list. First, the Qing Emperor. Second, the Void Emperor. Third, the Lord of Misfortune. The entire chaos was left with these 3 great Tao entities. Countless beings of chaos were left astounded, questioning what had transpired. Why had all the powerful entities on the primordial golden list vanished? Some felt an inexplicable lightness, as if a clear path lay ahead. Others gazed fervently, realizing that the great Tao Gate had disappeared, freeing them from all obstructions. The moment to break through had arrived. Within the river of fate, Su Qing sensed his transformation as he broke through to the great Tao level, causing his physique to undergo another metamorphosis. Even without any enhancements, his physical form could now reign supreme within the chaos. Simultaneously, by forging his body into a furnace, several of his innate treasures transformed into primordial treasures. As he examined the system panel, though the Lord of Fate and the World Tao Sovereign were swiftly eliminated, he had not forgotten to sign in. Sign in successful. Acquired the primordial treasure, Eternal Throne. Sign in successful. Acquired the primordial treasure, Ring of Destiny. The 2 primordial treasures materialized before him. Su Qing refined them in an instant, seated upon the eternal throne, surveying the myriad realms of chaos. This sensation felt rather pleasant. At that moment, a disturbance rippled through the river of time, as the Lord of Time fell from his rank, leaving the Time Guardians incapable of controlling the river, which began to flow backward. Su Qing entered the river of time, and upon his arrival, the tumultuous waters instantly calmed. The rivers of time and fate were fundamental to maintaining the chaos. Perhaps they should no longer be governed by powerful beings. With a mere wave of his hand, the rivers of fate and time vanished, merging into the chaos. Only a single figure remained. She wore a red gown, her beauty unparalleled. Yet her expression bore great anguish. Yunyan. Her path was the fusion of time and space, yet she had been diligently cultivating within the river of time, where the power of time overshadowed that of space, making it difficult for her to attain enlightenment. Su Qing began to assist her, channeling the power of space into Yunyan, achieving a delicate balance. Years flowed by, and a century passed in the blink of an eye. One day, Yunyan suddenly opened her eyes, 2 beams of crimson light shooting forth as if to pierce through the chaos, to create new heavens and earth. She swiftly established her own world, stepping into the heavenly Tao. Perceiving her unparalleled strength, she glanced at the floating eternal throne in the distance, her gaze softening. Yet she sighed quietly and chose to depart. Su Qing watched Yunyan's retreating figure, merely sighing softly before vanishing into the darkness. She had her own path to tread. All he could do was ensure her journey was a little smoother, without wishing to alter too much. Another few millennia passed, and the chaos seemed to dwell in eternal darkness, impervious to the passage of time. Behind the sea of misfortune, the mythical great world flourished immensely, expanding dozens of times compared to before. The Emperor of Humanity chose not to carve out his own world, but returned to the mythical great world. At this moment, the Emperor of the Earth also opted to return, creating a delicate balance among heaven, earth, and humanity. The number of powerful beings within the mythical great world continued to rise, as the sea of otherworldly flowers radiated a brilliant crimson, illuminating the annals of history. The reincarnation immortal emperor had undergone multiple cycles of reincarnation, his potential only second to the primordial demon god. In the chaos, he was known as the reincarnation emperor, with formidable strength capable of easily shaking the great Tao, positioning him among the elite. Clad in a voluminous black robe, his hair cascading like a waterfall, he stood beside the yellow springs, gazing into the distance. At that moment, a figure in red emerged from the flower sea behind him. The reincarnation emperor turned to look, exchanging a smile with the figure of the otherworldly flower, and together they chose to seclude themselves in this place, sharing their lives henceforth. In the depths of the abyssal purgatory, Xianxiaaudiobooks appeared as splendidly as when first encountered, returning to her youthful form adorned in a black dress. Her silver hair cascading behind her, and her ruby-like eyes gazing into the profound chaos. At this moment, she had attained the great path. Bidding farewell to the Empress of the Earth, embarking on a quest into the depths of chaos to seek Qing. Just as she departed from the mythic realm, Tai Yuan manifested before her. His demeanor remained indifferent, clad in white, yet a rare smile graced his lips as he proposed. How about we journey together? I, too, wish to seek our master and, in the process, challenge him. Very well. Decades later, atop the Hongmeng Golden List, a being of great path caliber dared to challenge the Azure Emperor, drawing countless powerful spectators. Ever since the Azure Emperor had made a solitary appearance, he had not been seen again, inciting curiosity among all. The challenger, a woman in white known as the Empress of the Mortal Realm, claimed to forge myriad paths through worldly experiences, her combat prowess deemed invincible, having secured the second position on the Hongmeng Golden List through sheer might. She gazed into the darkness, haughtily declaring, Azure Emperor, I know you can see me. Shall we engage in battle? You are unworthy to be his opponent. Allow me to contend with you instead. A chilling female voice emerged from the shadows, as a crimson figure stepped forth, causing time and space to momentarily stagnate. An aura of terrifying intensity making the chaos tremble. It was the long-vanished Yuan, who had just achieved the great path, and was in search of a worthy adversary. The Empress of the Mortal Realm scoffed. You, having merely just broken through to the great path, dare to challenge me? A warm-up before facing the Azure Emperor will suffice. Worldly refinement. Time flows through my fingertips. The crowd was astonished, realizing that this unexpected presence was not in the least inferior to the Empress of the Mortal Realm. Their fierce battle raged on for years, ultimately resulting in a stalemate, prompting both to withdraw. Yuan acquired a new title, the Empress of Time and Space. Centuries swiftly passed, with Xianxiaaudiobooks carving out her own renown amidst the chaos, earning the title of the Forbidden Empress. Her strength was formidable, yet she seemed perpetually in pursuit of something. Within the chaos, Yichun inherited the remnants of the Dark Clan and the Dark Source Lord, achieving the Great Path as well. However, he chose to depart the chaos, venturing into the uncharted territories beyond. As time hurried forward, on one fateful day within the chaos, an exceedingly terrifying monkey emerged. It forcefully pierced through the Hongmeng Golden List, its gaze landing upon the name of the Azure Emperor, letting out a boisterous laugh as it departed. This was the Chaos Demon Ape. At this time, the forefront of the Hongmeng Golden List was filled with familiar faces, the Chaos Demon Ape, Yuan, Xianxiaaudiobooks, and the Chaos Beast Emperor. At the pinnacle of the chaos, Qing found himself in a peculiar state. Though he had long reached the zenith of the Great Path, the path ahead remained elusive. Yet at this moment, his eyes grew ever brighter, for the way forward lay beneath his feet. Just a half-step remained to shatter the confines of the Great Path and attain transcendence. Years later, upon a vast sea, Qing donned a coarse linen robe, suddenly thrusting a harpoon into the depths. A smile graced his lips as he beheld the magnificent fish he had caught, an apex beast of the Great Path. Returning to his wooden abode, he found Yuan standing by the door, her face radiant with joy, while little Lioli cheered along the shore. Upon entering the wooden house, Qing called out to friends and companions, who hurried to join him. A burly man chuckled. Ah, another feast awaits. Meanwhile, a slender youth with a wooden stick scratched his head, remarking, I still prefer peaches. There are plenty of immortal peaches from eons past. Go and pick some yourself. Qing replied with a gentle smile as he returned to shore in his wooden boat. He glanced toward the distant red figure and his friends, his eyes shimmering like a myriad of stars, sparkling with a unique brilliance, and a smile graced his lips. Invincibility can be quite lonely. Thus, this is just right. The end. If you enjoyed this, please give a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for your support.